Okay, we are on the record. Good evening, everyone. This is the caucus of the Jersey City Municipal Council. Today is Monday, June 11th, 2018. We had a scheduled 5:30 p.m. start. It's 6:04 p.m. We apologize. The City Council was holding a closed caucus relative to a sensitive legal matter where the public could not be in attendance. We're calling roll call at 6:04 for the caucus. Councilperson Ridley. Prinzeri.
Here.
Baggiano.
Here.
Yun.
Here.
Solomon.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Rivera.
Here.
Waterman. Absent. President.
Here.
President, call the ball.
Okay.
I was handed at 5 o'clock, or actually 4:30 this afternoon, an ordinance by John Hallinan. One for Brian.
Okay.
One for Brian. I'm going to give you one and ask you to pass them down. That's 3. I'll give you one, Jim. Just pass them down. I'll give you one.
I'll have to describe
You
the
take-
changes unless you have a writing.
Take one and pass the others 2 down.
Put it in italics. Changes? Yes.
Changes are in italics.
Okay, council members, the first item we're taking up is 4F. What's just been submitted to, actually, before I begin, let me just say to all the members of the public and to the viewers out there, this is a public meeting, a caucus of the City Council. It is not a public hearing, so public speaking is not permitted. And the same rules that I said at the previous council meeting, which I believe many of you were there, with regards to kind of participation and showing decorum, they apply here as well, and decorum will be strictly enforced. Okay, there are, even more so than in the council meetings, outbursts are not permitted, hollering and cheering and all that stuff, not permitted in this particular meeting, whereas in the council meeting, we allow for more public participation, I would say, in that one, okay?
And one added thing, you do not have to call the clerk's office to get your name on the list to speak. It is second reading ordinance, and no one has to call the office of the clerk to be put on a list. If your name already appears on the list, if you were one of the people who got here early and scapped up the 35 agendas that I brought, there are many names that I recognize from the last meeting, but the names will not be called in order. People will come out of the audience one by one in any order that it becomes. So there is no need to call the clerk's office to add your name to the agenda. The law requires a separate public hearing on the ordinance, and that's what we'll be doing Wednesday.
Okay, so we have 4F, and what was just recently distributed to you were amendments to the 4F ordinance, and I'm going to turn it over to the Corporation Counsel, who will explain what amendments have been presented.
Thank you, Council President. Late last week, Friday, in fact, and up until today, actually, we've been having discussions with the attorney for the Caucus Forest Memorial Massacre Committee regarding the language and the effect of the proposed ordinance. And pursuant to same, there were some requests for some minor changes that were made by counsel on behalf of his client, the committee, that are mostly ministerial, that affect primarily, you can see the the new draft that was passed around, the changes are in italics, but it was mostly ministerial to reflect changes in the whereas clauses.
Given that we have an active audience here, I think it'd be great if you could just clarify what those changes are for
Certainly,
everyone.
Council President. The one suggestion was that there be an addition of, after the phrase interested parties, including the Polish and American community, insert the name of the committee, the Caucus Forest Memorial Massacre Committee, Inc.
That's in the title?
That is in the 9th whereas paragraph,
9th whereas.
which will be at the top of page 2 of the new ordinance.
Okay.
Second change, the 12th whereas, delete manage and maintain, and in its place add utilize the Kitin Memorial Plaza for appropriate gatherings to commemorate the 1940 Kitin massacre.
Where is this?
That is the 12th, which is the last one prior to the now therefore paragraph.
So you deleted something?
Yes, the manage and maintain, which was, the city had offered essentially the committee the opportunity to manage and maintain the plaza and the statue. They had declined that opportunity and instead just wished to have the access to utilize the plaza for gatherings and commemorations. So the city will maintain the obligation to manage and maintain.
So you deleted a portion and you added a portion which is in italics. Is that accurate?
That's correct, Council
My
President.
request would be that you would re-include the deleted portion with a strike-through to reflect the deletion. For everyone, so that they know what may have been removed. I don't, well, it would be in your original,
The stricken language was manage and quote-unquote, manage and maintain.
Would everyone kindly silence their phones? We didn't
I
hear
don't think
the
that
Marine
language actually was
Corps.
in the final version that managed and maintained.
It may have been in a previous draft, but at any
Yeah.
rate.
Okay.
There was a new whereas clause that was added, which goes above that last one that we spoke about. Whereas the memorial shall honor the brave deceased members of the Polish Officers Corps.
Okay.
And finally, in the directive paragraph of the ordinance, counsel for the committee had asked that the 99-year agreement language be deleted and changed to the following. That the ordinance authorizes the city to perpetually maintain the Kitin Memorial statue on the Kitin Memorial Plaza once the memorial has been relocated, allowing the committee to utilize the Kitin Memorial Plaza for appropriate gatherings to commemorate the Kitin Memorial, subject to the terms of the agreement which has yet to be negotiated.
Is that the exact language that's in here right now?
I believe it is.
Nope, that's what you just read. Once the memorial has been,
Okay.
yeah, once it has been relocated.
Everything
Yes.
is in italics.
I've informed the Corporation Council to prepare a fact sheet.
Which will be circulated tomorrow
All the
morning.
amendments.
Left right where it is. There's no justification for moving the statue, except to appease some rich developers down in the waterfront. That statue's been there for what, 30 years, 38 years, or whatever it is? And why don't they just leave it alone? It faces the World Trade Center where it's at. It doesn't bother anybody. And that baloney you hear, well, the bayonet in the back. Maybe children should learn about what horror was, so we don't ever have it repeated again. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. We're appeasing this SID, which is controlled by one big corporation down there. You know, this is a joke. And the people that sat right here in this room, as I said before, were violently against it. Then all of a sudden, the heads of this organization changed their mind. I'd like to know what deal was made.
Can you stop this guy from taking pictures?
Okay, folks. Please, no public comments. This is not the forum for this.
This should not be passed. The statue should be left alone. Next, we'll be moving, I mean, they tried to move the Korean War monument. Now it's this monument. I mean, they moved Peter Stuyvesant. The city never kept their word. Let's cut it out.
You will have every opportunity on Wednesday to let your voices be heard. You will have every opportunity, but this is a caucus of the council in which we deliberate and discuss the items that are being presented to the city council. It is not a forum for public hearing.
And before the discussion, business of Peter, another Peter,
Peter.
that's Brian. I sent an email from my office. We invite exchange place aside the president and the director's office, to explain to us their plan to what they're gonna do, you know what I'm saying? Because without knowing their plan actually, to remove the statue is too early, make a decision for that, too early to make a decision for that, you know? So then I show you, what happened? Can't you explain for us why they not show up?
Well, they provided some preliminary plans to the group. Nothing's set in stone yet, because as we discussed at the prior caucus, this needs to be in place before they're really going to start spending money and moving forward on anything. Just they need to know that this is something that's going to happen before. And also to reiterate about the funding piece, the city's not spending $1 on this.
But, before we talk about relocate the statue, we better hear that, what is their plan, how are they gonna utilize that area the way they plan. So we should be hearing their plan first, then based on their plan, we can discuss, make a judgment, yes, the statue have to remove the relocate, or based on their plan, we believe the council is not necessary to relocate the statues. So they gotta come up make a presentation, you know what I'm saying? Without seeing any plans and presentation, how are we gonna discuss relocate the statue first? I think that's the other way around now. So I think it's not fair to, not only this council, also a Polish community too. And because the first things, I see that they, in fact, not emailed to me that their primary plans, a draft plan, and this is what is very clear. They removed their statue to York Street, and the place statue now, they try to bring up to some water park. So when you see that the size of the space, they can build the water park without touching the statues, you know what I'm saying? So we should have some kind of dialogue between city council, exchange place aside, and the city engineer. We should talk together, you know what I'm saying? But if that really necessary to remove that, relocate the statues, even they cost $1 million, probably the city council failed to do that. But without showing to anything, nothing actually, and they just try to pass this ordinance to relocate the stones. I think it's not only fair to ourselves and the people, communities, I think it's something wrong, We shouldn't be doing that. And also, when we give to almost 2 weeks of notice to ask, show to city council, explain their plan, they refuse what they don't, I think then I show up. I'm very disappointed,
Brian. Who did we request?
They were here at the first reading, and they provided plans, and you're describing the plans they provided, so we don't typically do
What plans they have?
Brian,
No, Brian, be
Who
careful.
requested them? That's what, he requested that they show up. Am I correct?
I saw those videos.
No, Joyce Waterman, Councilwoman,
Yeah.
we sent email to invite
Okay.
to president of the exchange place SID or director of the SID, explain to their plan.
Okay.
Because as we understand, not only Polish community, even ourselves, that the general public believe that there are reasons to relocate.
Stop leaning against the wall.
Find another location, I'm sorry.
Lean against the door.
He's gotta find another location too.
Okay, sir, yes, let's all clear that area behind Councilman Rivera. If you're standing up, excuse me?
Formally, we ask that Brian Platt, as a business administrator, they should be come up to explain their plan. Because of their reason to relocate the statue, because of build a park. Okay? But if that's the reason they relocate the statue because of build a park, then they should be shown to this council the park plan, what kind of park they build. They don't do anything, you know what I'm saying? And now, when I look at it, they send me some kind of draft form, it's not actually, but when I see that remove the statue is not reason. Actually, when you see that the plan is an excuse to remove the statue because one gentleman or two gentlemen don't like that the statue is a shape of statue. That's what we are uncomfortable. Then why is the reason that I show the city council show to the plan to us? And also I can say that if we see that plan, most area is a grass. But as you know, as a business administrator, there were around 20 large festival hall that exchange place. If you build the park the way they draft the plan, then none of the grass will be survived, you know? And then none of the actual food will be able to get it inside too. So then say, remove the statue because of park bill is excuse, not the reason. So please, give us the opportunity to city council, review their plan and the reason that remove statue make it reasonable to all. So then the difference, but till today, we keep changing the word in the documentation, but we didn't see actual plan at Yale, you know? So,
Councilman Solomon?
Commitments has the city made on payment for the statue movement?
We don't have any, obviously, any legal document would come through the council for approval, but we've verbally committed that they're going to cover the cost of everything. You want a letter from them maybe, or?
The more teeth,
Right.
the better, but
Yeah.
I mean, at a minimum, you know,
Right.
we need to hear from them their public commitment to shoulder all costs, including, including cost overruns, including, I mean, we can't, this is, it's a big, the move is a big financial commitment, and if,
Right.
just a
It's
verbal, Brian says they say it, it's not
Right.
enough.
Okay.
So, Brian.
So when could you schedule a meeting?
And maybe they can come for the,
Because we need to know, that's a valid point.
okay.
Who's gonna really be funding this? That needs to be in writing?
Yes.
Because you keep saying the city's
Will a
not
letter
gonna
be
fund it.
sufficient?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Will
I
a
mean,
letter be
a letter
sufficient?
would be sufficient, for me, a legal document, sure, that's sufficient.
And I think
Business administration,
more detail, one second.
Go ahead, more details.
I mean, detailed letter, right, not just,
Sure.
that's,
Right.
there's no ambiguity clauses that can be
And,
misinterpreted. And I think, from my view is, their budget comes before us on an annual basis, so
Right.
were they to not live up to whatever they put in writing, we have a chance, but
That's
verbal is not
Yeah.
enough.
Right.
And business added to the councilman, James Solomon mentioned to that, there were financial issues involved. Maybe $500,000, who knows, maybe $1 million. And do you know that the 2018 our budget, then none of the items talk about that funding for removal or so on, so you know what I'm saying? So a lot of issues involved. Whatever we say yes or no, there are millions of dollars can involve. And it's gonna hurt a lot of people's heart. So please, my strong recommendation, we should withdraw this one again, and give us a full presentation. Not only that, whatever they promise of funding-wise, they should bond, not just print the documentation. Even just print writing is not enough. They should bond, you know what I'm saying? So city should be, get the taxpayer, get any,
He's suggesting to them they should bond in order to pay for it, but I
Yes.
think that needs to be the board decision what they should do.
yeah, so other than that, end of the day, they should,
they
we're not gonna pay.
I think they can, but
Do their own stuff.
Right, it's not.
Other than that, we now feel comfortable to discuss this. So seems like till today, we just a waste of time. I'm looking for, if the person is sincere, they should be city council, they should explain to us, And the general public come from the people from Georgia City, like Bayonne and the Connecticut, Rhode Island, all of the place, they trip to here to stop those things. I think it's not fair to the people, So Brian Platt, as a business administrator, you are the has the power to stop it, withdraw it, You have to play your role.
No, we can withdraw it. This is what the council's for.
Yeah, but before we do that, other than that, the people have to show up to Wednesday night meeting again.
Brian, we're talking about the cost of moving the statue. Peter Stuyvesant statue, which is 1/4 the size of this, is costing close to $150,000 to $200,000 to move again, okay? So this has to be over $500,000, way more, just for the foundation.
Way more.
And secondly, who's paying for this so-called park? When this is a business area, there's no little kids running around there during the day. It's a business area with men and women walking around. They're not going to jump in this little pool. Who's paying for this extravaganza?
The park is gonna be, we'll get you something in writing, that's, officially describes a commitment from the SID that they are going to pay for all of
The
this.
SID is controlled by one organization. They have 3 people on the board.
No, that's
Out
not
of
true.
7.
No, say, no.
There's
No,
3
I'm not gonna let
people
you keep saying that, okay? That's not true, because I am on that board too. So you say control, no. We ask these questions. There are people in the community that's on that board that ask questions. So when you guys sit up here and say that, that's not fair to the residents that's on that board. Well, stop going by hearsay. I'm trying to tell you what's happening.
No, Rich, then, our Councilman Joyce want to attend their board
Right.
meeting. Can't you express what are they discuss, what are they talking, can't you explain to
I
us?
can explain that this was not on the agenda, okay? This is not on the agenda of how it was paid for, whatever. That's why you can bring them
Okay,
in.
sure.
Okay? And they can answer on exactly how.
So-
This was not exactly discussed on how and who was going to.
On the at the last.
Okay, now let me ask this one.
Sure.
Do they discuss
Okay.
with the SI, they discuss to relocate the statue, their board members?
That was discussed.
Okay, what was it at the end of their meeting, so what are they decided? They ask for favor to remove the things? Do they have any copy of the minutes?
Yeah, they have copy of the minutes. You
So
can
they
get- you can
take
get
a
copy of
vote
the
for them?
minutes. They take a vote on every issue that they discuss.
So they say
And you
that
can
they are
have the
favor
minutes.
to, right?
At this time,
Mm-hmm.
it is favored because they want to make that park down there.
See,
But
that's-
the money aspect was not discussed.
Okay.
That's what you're asking for. The
So-
money aspect was not discussed.
So Brian, it's like this one, Central and SI ask that the board can pass that, we like a 5 street so-and-so, parking there so-and-so. But if they can discuss anything they want, they can pass anything they want.
No, they
But-
can't pass it, because we get their budget too. You gotta remember that.
Yeah,
We
but,
get their budget.
no. Because why? They're not clear where the money come from.
Right, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So, please,
That's not
why
what
do we
you-
waste the time, our time, their time, everybody's time? You know, instead that if we're gonna take a vote for the regional, the council Wednesday meeting, those people, you know, they have to show up again Wednesday. If a city voluntarily withdraw, then we don't have to, not only myself and ourselves, our councilman and that, the people didn't trip again to show up on Wednesday night in the council
Councilman,
meeting.
your request has been made, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
business administrator understands that.
Okay.
There's
So
a
what do you-
request for a letter of commitment for payment, and there's a request
Presentation
for
about the
a
plan.
presentation, more information.
When, tomorrow, Wednesday?
I'll get back to you. I can't confirm.
That's
yet.
that's too short of a time. This
Yes.
should be told, and maybe next month or the month after or September. I mean,
Yes.
we're inconveniencing all these people here. The word on the street, Brian, get to know the city, all of you. People are ticked off about this, and you don't have to be Polish, you could be any other nationality
Yes.
or any race. People do not want this statue moved.
Councilwoman Waterman, you said, at what meeting was the, commission?
It would, every time you have a SID meeting, there are community representatives that are there. They're always there to listen. And at the end of the session, they always ask you anybody have questions, and they do allow the community to ask any question they desire. So Jean was there. Is she here today? Okay, so Jean was there, and Jean, she asked various questions. So when they keep saying that the community doesn't know, that the community don't have input, they have that opportunity to be there. And like I said, Jean was there.
Jean Daly?
Yes.
Now, was the
Okay.
meeting like this, was it like a lot of opposing?
No one was opposed. She was there to ask different questions about the SID and things like that, and she asked whatever she wanted to, and they answered. Now, it was not just all on the statute that she asked, but she asked about other issues too.
When was that meeting, Councilman?
That was just Friday.
Oh, just Friday.
Yeah,
Okay.
meeting just was Friday.
So are these meetings advertised?
Yes, they are.
How are they advertised?
They advertise in the paper, just like our meetings are advertised, it's the same way.
So now,
So I mean, they're advertising these meetings.
Right, they can go. They can
have you
go.
seen it advertised, Councilman?
I mean, I personally haven't, but I haven't looked for it.
Okay.
Right, that's the way
they-
we advertise ours.
Yeah,
We
I
do
mean,
the same.
I think the clerk's office is responsible.
Right.
Robert, you guys are responsible for advertising them, right?
That is correct.
Right,
Okay. so-
And
How are
and
they
you-
advertised?
same way,
Our what advertising?
SID meetings,
same.
any
Oh,
SID?
no, we're not responsible for SID meetings, council meetings.
Okay.
The SIDs themselves are
Advertise.
required to give notice to the editors of the newspaper, the time and dates of
Yeah,
their
they
meetings.
So I guess the newspaper is the,
Yeah.
where they're published, so, yeah. I mean, I think there's,
You ever see their meeting
The-
notes? You ever see the meeting notes in the journal?
Sure.
They'll have an array of meetings.
okay.
It's there.
the meeting from May 21st was canceled and scheduled for June 8th at
Friday.
1 p.m. And it's held at Mac Cali Real Estate Corp. That's nice.
Well, I mean, micro SID, sometimes they held them all over. It's where they can get the spot. I don't want to make a big thing out of it.
Out of our,
Yes,
out of
out
our
of the
agenda?
agenda,
Yeah.
that's correct.
I mean, so there, that was posted on the web.
Right.
That's the way the information, when it gets to us, it gets out.
Just ask them to come in.
Yeah, Council President?
Yes.
And also, Councilman Joyce would have mentioned today, they have a meeting. They one of the public attend the meeting. I think that she asked a few questions. At that time, the president of SID told her, the speaker, I wouldn't do that if I were you. If the president of SID, when the person come out speak and the response like that, when I see as a councilman it's a threatening. I think it's not fair to the person. I hope not.
I don't know what
I don't know
percent.
either. I was there, I
So,
don't know,
no.
but I was.
Maybe not, but the person look at it as a different way. So,
Right, right, so don't.
yes,
don't-
so I'm not going to say that too far, but
Right.
let me put it this way.
right.
Documentation, in order to discuss this one, Brian, we don't have that, the lack of information, okay?
Okay,
So-
we've covered this
Right,
already.
we
Yeah.
covered that.
Information will be,
Don't give to us Friday, they push to us to make a decision, I think it's not fair, okay? Just I'll let you, Wednesday, I mean, all right?
How do the other council feel?
and then you got the fact sheet with the amendments as well, the law, okay?
Yes, Council President.
Okay. Say your piece now, because we have people here who don't want them to leave here.
For Wednesday, I want to follow the law on a memorandum of understanding that would potentially follow an ordinance, but I'll follow with you guys before the vote on Wednesday and obviously follow with Brian.
And the MOU
Financial
could be
piece.
done before the ordinance becomes effective.
Right, okay, so there'll be two
Okay.
follow-ups on just my angle, and then I'll share both of that with everybody.
At the, after the MOU, we can waive.
Oh, yeah.
Brian, Brian,
Yeah, James, just give me-
last question. This is very important. Because the last council meeting, the president of that statute committee, I think Mr. Noah? Yes. Yeah, Noah, he mentioned to that the council, they have a MOU between City of Jersey City and the committee. I like to have the copy of the MOU before Wednesday council meeting. Okay? That's why he make a statement at the last council meeting.
MOU between the County Memorial Massacre Committee and the City of Jersey City.
I like to have the copy of that MOU. If he doesn't have a MOU and he just make a statement like the last council meeting, I'm going to ask him stand the two, raise your hand, stand next to the door. No, I'm just kidding.
He going too far.
No, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But we need a copy of MOU, okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, any other?
On this administration.
Okay, we're not, thank you. This ends our discussion on 4F. This ends our discussion on 4F, council.
Yeah. Bring your sleeping bag, right?
I'll bring the coffee.
Bring your sleeping bag on Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay, let's call in Kit Lawrence for
gonna get
item
an
3B.
Excuse me, if your only reason was here to discuss the Catton Memorial, please vacate so that we can allow city personnel.
You are entitled to stay.
We can get,
But we
we
can't,
can get
we
the
have our fire chief outside. We've overloaded the room.
Right.
We are not,
There are
you
citizens who are
can,
here.
you can stay, tape, and monitor the meeting, so you know there are no surreptitious, easy for me to say, surreptitious discussions about this issue, but we do need some room to be made for city personnel who are here for this meeting.
Just to be clear, you are legally permitted to stay. But as the city clerk has said, our business on related to the Katian Memorial Massacre statue, and item number 4F on the agenda is completed tonight. It will then be taken up at the City Council meeting on Wednesday as a second reading ordinance. It is a public hearing. There will be a public hearing on the ordinance where you'll be able to speak on that. We are now going to continue with the rest of our meeting. As the clerk noted already, there are limited seats, so again, no one is telling you you have to leave. You're legally entitled to stay, but it would be welcomed and a gesture of welcome gesture and courtesy if you would allow our city staff who are here to discuss different items of business to be able to have a seat here in the council caucus room.
Actually conducting a sit-in is...
So,
They are entitled to do that.
Council President,
We should just do our business.
We can do our business.
Well, do you know what it is?
Let's
though?
move our business
Move our
along.
business forward.
Come in, city workers, come in, we're gonna do our business. We have to do our business.
We may have to bring them in one at a time.
We will have to do that.
We may have to do them one at a time.
Yeah, let's just move the business along. 3E.
okay, Council President, before we discuss 3E,
Moving along, Council. Moving along.
what do you mean, thank you?
'Cause you know,
3E.
we know we got a lot.
All right.
This is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 263 to prohibit the use of disposable plastic carryout bags in retail establishments. This is a first reading ordinance before the council. And we have Kate Lawrence from the Office of Sustainability here.
It doesn't amplify, it just...
It's for the TV camera.
Sorry.
We'd ask everyone to try to be as quiet as possible so we can conduct the business of this meeting.
Okay, Kate, you want to take it away?
Sure. So this is an ordinance which bans the use of single-use plastic checkout bags and puts in place a fine for businesses that provide them at retail establishments. It does make, there also is a number of definitions within the ordinance that define a carryout bag as a bag provided by a retail establishment to a customer at the point of sale.
You're going to close the door.
What is going to occur is you're not interested in the business other than what you came here for, and you're all going to have separate and distinct conversations which are going to overwhelm the city business.
Let's close the door.
Can we have someone to translate that?
Translations, be quiet.
Thank you.
Hi. So this ordinance is for the banning of disposable plastic single-use carryout bags at retail establishments. And it defines a carryout bag or a plastic carryout bag as a bag made of plastic which is provided by a retail establishment to a customer at the point of sale. But it does not include bags for loose produce or products placed for bulk items, a laundry or dry cleaning bag, newspaper bag, bags to contain wrapped frozen foods, bags provided by pharmacists to contain drugs, and bags sold in packages containing multiple bags intended for various uses. The point of this ordinance is to reduce plastic bag, single-use plastic bag waste within the city. It's a problem across the country and the world right now, single-use plastic goods, but we're specifically focusing on bags, which are especially problematic in the environment and in the water, aquatic environment.
Councilperson Ridley?
Yeah, you go first.
So how would this work with, well, I have 3 supermarkets, restaurants, and also department stores, but with supermarkets, you're saying that produce will be bagged, right? But if I have like ketchup, I have to carry that out?
No, so basically, this is intended to encourage customers to bring their own bags and reuse them on a continuous basis. So if you're in the grocery store, if you're getting a bunch of loose peaches, you could put them all together in a plastic, one of those supermarket, right? But in order to take all of your products, your cereal and milk and ketchup, you would have to provide a bag for yourself, or that you could buy one from that store that you could reuse.
The store could provide it, or you can also use a paper bag.
Right. This does not prohibit
But the
paper
store
bags.
doesn't provide the paper bags. Like, it's not like they're gonna have brown paper bags now instead of plastic.
They can.
They're gonna have that?
They can.
It's not a situation where you have to bring your bag, like they're only supplying plastic bags for produce. They can go back to using the brown paper bags.
Right.
Okay, can I?
And we fully plan on doing a reusable bag campaign where the city will provide some to businesses, to residents, and both for free, and then also we'll make them available for purchase at small businesses. The implementation phase of this is 6 months. So once this ordinance is passed, we can start communicating, start making the bags and handing them out and that sort of thing, so.
But Councilman Yun, then Robinson, then Rivera, I'm sorry, Rivera, then Robinson, I'm sorry.
So let me say this one. This is one of my favorite ordinance in the city council in the 2008 building. You know, actually Central Avenue SID started like 3 years ago. They give away reusable shopping bag. So far, I think they give away more than 6,000 bags because always I say that we live in this planet, we just borrowed. You know, we have to leave that there for the next generation with a good condition. So I support 100%. But when I see that the ordinance, impact-wise, it has some more negative impact than positive impact we're going to have. So actually Saturday and Sunday, 2 days, I spend a lot of time to research how we can make the ban the plastic bag, you know, in Jersey City to make a most successful program we can create for Jersey City. So one thing based on my research, you know, and also like I thought almost 40 years of retail business, this is what happened years ago. If you go towards shopping, they don't give you any plastic bag because at that time, 40 years ago, plastic bag cost more than paper bag. So everybody provided paper bag, shopping bags, it was the big, whatever, all the shopping bag was it. But they stopped to use a lot of paper bag because tree issue. They have to cut the trees, so and so. So now they try to push to the different way to the plastic bag. So years ago, 30 years ago, if you shopping less than $20 grocery shopping, 30 to 20 is a lot of money. They not give the plastic bag, they give the paper bag. If you spend more than $20, 30-some years ago, they give the plastic bag. But today's paper bag, they're not used that much, that more like people use plastic bag now. Based on research, very interesting, paper bag production, production of paper bag generated significantly more air and water pollution. Manufacture and recycling them require more energy than their plastic bag. So in other words, environmental protection-wise, plastic is better than paper bag. Because when you produce a paper bag, you have to cut the trees and then make a tree to paper bag production, air pollution, water pollution, really is not so much. Plastic bag actually much easier, less environmental hazard to bring up to so and so. But now, when they're recycling, they pose problems. So what happened, long story make it short, what we have to do that different way. First one, I might suggest that exchange recycled bag. In other words, you shopping, no, you know how many parts you're shopping, like every week I shopping 10 bag, plastic bag. If you bring up the 10 plastic bag, then supermarket provided 10 plastic bag to put it in. So in other words, whatever they put it out to the people, they recycle, bring back to supermarket. That's the way create 95% of a reduction of use the plastic bag. So they're one of the city they do that very, very impact. Another one, charging. Every time they give the plastic bag, they're charging 5 cents, 10 cents. They do some, Connecticut, they see almost a 90% reduction for use plastic bag. They more use for reusable bag. And another one, yes, education is a main component to education. And the first one, and the fifth one, they call sell the reusable bag. More likely, all those things have to be habit issue. To change a habit, it takes a lot of time, you know? But if you go shopping, like in your case, you go shopping today, you know how much you're gonna spend, $100. You know that you're gonna be having like 20 plastic bags gonna carry. Or to get the 20 plastic bag, you gotta bring back 20 used plastic bags to the supermarket. So recycling rates getting higher. So this kind of play, if we combine together, we're gonna have a most successful ban the one-time plastic bag using in Jersey City. Also, cost-wise, if you do this study, plastic bag costs usually penny for bag. Paper bag usually 5 cents to 25 cents. So small business community actually is an impact, negative impact is huge because they're not using 1-2 bags. And like a per day, 500 per day bags, at a cost of the years can be few $1,000s about extra pay they have to use. So what we can do, if I put you into some kind of effort to myself and yourself, we withdraw, okay? And you and me and other people, we put you an idea, better idea, to make a best policy ordinance to the statewide in New Jersey, you know? So my strong recommendation, we gotta work together, you know? So maybe we withdraw, but I think a second reading time because a huge change is gonna be coming, so we cannot able to pass. My recommendation.
There's a request to withdraw.
Okay.
We have a number of speakers here. Councilman Rivera.
So, thank you for asking those 19 questions, Councilman. So, my concern is, you know, Councilman, you touched up on everything that I wanted to talk about. So, you know, I don't think you guys have done the complete research that you're supposed to with, you know, in terms of this, because, again, you know, this was a fad that happened in the 80s where they told us we can't use any more paper bags. It went throughout the entire city of Jersey City because we're killing trees. So now we're back to the same recycle situation with no explanation on how you guys are going to work this out. Let me ask you a question. Councilwoman Ridley made a great point. So if we have a senior citizen that is going to go do shopping and he or she has no bags, what are we doing there? We're going to just say, no, you can't, you know, take this with you? Are we going to provide? And if we're providing bags, are the supermarkets willing to give us a discount for that?
You go to Trader Joe's, they give you paper bags. You go to BJ's, there's no bags, they give you a box.
There's a question on the table.
So we're gonna do a bag giveaway for businesses and for residents. That's gonna occur during that 6-month, yeah, of course,
Right,
of course.
With a focus on underrepresented communities that, and especially those that might not be able to afford their own reusable bags.
Let me, how many, you guys been watching this already? How, are you finished, sir? Oh, okay. How many bags do we plan on giving away, and how much money do we, as a city, plan on paying for these bags?
We need to get a little more pricing info on what the bags cost. We need to design them and that sort of thing. So we're not sure yet, but we do have a significant amount of money at DPW available for this sort of thing.
So as a small business owner, this is really gonna hurt small businesses.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm a little different. I'm a restaurant. My price point is a little higher, but when you go to a corner store,
Sure.
sometimes your price point is maybe just over $1 where you will receive a bag. I don't see a corner store or you know, a smaller supermarket being able to afford the ongoing cost of
Sure.
recyclable bags and or you know
If you
paper
want,
bags.
we can, if the council wishes, we can make some exemptions for maybe some of those smaller businesses.
Brian, that's why, the business is why some.
Councilman Bojana, are you done?
Yeah.
Councilman,
Yeah.
you had 19. Let somebody else, everybody else get their points out.
No, I'm gonna add to that.
Councilman Bojana, I'm sorry, Mike. Councilman Bojana, did you have something?
No, that's what I said before. You go to BJ's, you don't get nothing, no bags. If you want to carry your stuff out, you bring a box. If you go to Trader Joe's, they give you paper bags. The only problem is the paper handles on the paper bags.
Oh, we
are
don't
hard.
have those stores.
Yes.
I have questions.
Let me do this one.
But Michael,
Let's give every council person an opportunity.
so for example, we did a rollout similar to this with the farmer's market, so it might be helpful to understand what that cost was from Health and Human Services, how many bags were printed, and I know from personal experience, one of the challenges is getting people to bring their bags back in the first place. So I think maybe, I don't know if there's a way to quantify the number of bags that were gone through each year, but that might be helpful to give the council an idea of what it might cost, and to give the city an idea of what it might cost to do this. And are you planning to use the same kind of bags, or would they be a different bag? So they were like the Bagoo bags. They were,
At the
vinyl
farmers markets.
At the farmers markets.
Yeah, so one of the things with the farmers markets was I think they allowed the compostable plastic bags, right? Oh.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Yes.
Oh.
It would be similar. That there are different kinds of reusable bags. The ones that are the best regarding energy and greenhouse gas reductions are ones that are usually made out of recycled plastic and washable. Or you can get ones like this. And the thing about this that's really helpful is that you can just stick it in your bag and you have it wherever you go. And you can wash it so if it gets dirty.
So is that the idea that these are going to be the kinds of bags the city would provide?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the cost?
Is there like a, I'm sorry.
We don't have a cost.
Well, the farmers markets do that, so that could be a
Right.
basis, like a place at
Okay,
least.
hold on. Councilperson Waterman, Rivera, Yun. Ridley
I just
again?
wanted to know, do you have an idea of the cost? Because, I mean, and she's telling me where you can base it from at least.
No, I think that that's a great idea. I think that we haven't gotten those numbers yet, and we haven't been told how much we are allowed to spend from at this point.
Also, I just wanted to comment around that. They did two different prints, or like two different runs of bags. One year the bags were really good, the other year they were not good, even though the quotes came in saying it was going to be like to like, so just be mindful of that too.
Can I just touch on a few of the points that have come up?
Okay. Kate has the floor.
So, first of all, regarding why plastic bags and not paper bags. So, Councilman Yoon is right. Electricity, or the amount of energy used in creating a plastic bag, is actually less than a paper bag. That's correct. Though, for both, if you're reusing a bag in general and you have a recycled plastic bag, then it's better than either of those options. The issue that's currently taken hold and why people are passing these bans across the country and across Europe, and why Europe is considering a wholesale ban on lots of plastic disposables, really has to do with marine life at this point. Okay, so which has nothing to do, so paper bags do not have that impact. They also, if they're recycled and recyclable, which this is calling for in those paper bags, they can be used for other purposes, and they have a fairly small impact on the environment once they've been created. In the creation, yes, you're right, that they do actually use more energy. But the problem with these plastic bags is that, one, they're plastic, they don't break down. We're getting a lot of microplastics within our oceans and in our environment that are causing horrible problems for animals and especially marine life. But bags specifically are seen as food, and because of their shape and the way they look and the way they act in the water, a lot of animals like whales and sea turtles are eating them, and then they get into their digestive system and cause death.
Thank you very much. You just say right. What you explained to us that they have answered problems of the plastic bag, because I think I heard that 1%, the recycle rate is only 1%, 99% go ocean. See, that's why if we increase of the recycle rate of the plastic bag, then we limited the problem. So then how are we going to reduce, increase the recycle rate, the plastic bag? That's why I explained to you, one of the city they do 95% recycle rate. How? Or to get your plastic bag from the supermarket, you gotta bring up the same amount of plastic bag you have. Then almost 100% to recycling, you know what I'm saying? See, that's what the key. Now, listen to me. Also, you have to understand, if you go supermarket, when the guy packing the plastic bag, we think is put everything together. No. Detergent is separate from the food, and the fish and meat is separate from the bread. So when you use a reusable bag, without general public understand the difference, we got public sanitation issue. And also when you see our ordinance that the reusable bag able to 100 times washable, how did you know they're 100 times washable or not? So please, I support 100%. This is the right way to move. But unfortunately, when I read at the ordinance, your background maybe has some knowledge, but you doesn't understand reality in the street. So if we put it together with your passion, our self-experience, we can create the most impact ordinance in the state of New Jersey. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I didn't know that you guys are putting this one. So if we withdraw, let's work together. You're not my enemy, I'm not your enemy. Let's work together. Even though we bring up this a month later, still better than later, you know?
So that was my question. That was my question with the research. The contamination process, we have to really be careful here. You know, and another concern that I have.
Have completely abolished the plastic bags. I mean, this doesn't say that you cannot have plastic bags. It just has to be reusable plastic bag. The plastic bags that are available now at these shopping centers, they basically don't last, even for the one trip. They fall apart immediately. People are triple bagging them.
My question here is that to agree with Councilman Yoon, you know, there's no process in place here. You know, he nailed it. You know, you have to separate, you know, your goods. But he already touched on that. I'm not gonna, you know, piggyback on what he was saying. Another concern is we have families that only shop once a month, and once a month shopping requires lots and lots of bags. So are you guys willing to give? I've actually listen. I've seen, you know, families in excess of 30 bags. Are you guys willing to do that? And have you guys studied the parts of the city that will happen at?
We're committed to making sure that all the residents have what they need, and if, through the council, if you tell us that there's certain neighborhoods that need more of these, we will make it work.
So I think it's a little premature for us to make that decision because we don't know the cost of the bags or how many each are going to use, because, you know, that was my main concern with this. Like, I think it's good, you know, for the environment, of course, but people shop differently in different areas of the city. So usually, I guess if you live in maybe a high rise, you know, you go to the store a little more often because you don't want to lug everything up. But a lot of families in the more, you know, family-oriented areas of the city, they go and they shop and they fill the whole car. Like, we go and we fill the whole cart, the whole car is full, you're taking everything in the house. So they, like Councilman Rivera said, they're going to need a lot of bags, and is that feasible for the city to do?
To be clear also that we're not eliminating all bags from the stores. They will be able to provide reusable bags or paper bags. So there's the stores will still be able to provide bags, just different bags. Yeah.
No, they have to buy them, right? The stores will have to buy them. Yeah.
But that's still the store's decision to buy them, right? We can't tell them they have to buy them. We can say we're banning plastic bags, and they can say, okay, well, everybody in Jersey City is obviously going to bring a bag.
Right.
So, Brian, go ahead.
Are we going to establish a task force? And are we going to have fines for stores that still provide these? Because it's a lot of stores out here, and it's going to be hard to keep up with this.
$100 for each. Yeah, it's the enforcement Would be under sanitation, and I've already had a conversation with the officer that issues citations at sanitation, and he said there would be no problem.
Are we hiring a separate task force? I mean, this is gonna be.
He did not say that he would need additional staff. They already issue citations, it wouldn't.
Today, I take a ShopRite bag and I throw it in a recycling bin. We have recycling paper, recycling plastic. When it gets to the recycling plant, they take that out and throw it in the garbage, because you can't recycle it.
Yeah, that's actually a
It is
very
true.
good point. Yes,
It
so
is true.
Councilman Bogiano brings up a very good point. I know that you, Councilman Yoon, was thinking that you could just recycle your plastic bags, but the thing about this particular plastic, and this was the other point that I wanted to make about this type of plastic that's being used for these plastic bags, is a very low-grade plastic, right? So first of all, we don't recycle it in the city, okay? And we just don't. We don't. If you look at what plastics are recycled, the city does not recycle this. If you were to go through a commercial recycler, if somebody was going to actually pay for a commercial recycler to recycle these bags, at this point it would be very difficult to get them to actually recycle these bags. One, if you have a facility that is taking a bunch of different recyclables and separating them, these bags muck up the machines. They actually cause the breakdown in the machine equipment and makes it so that they can't function anymore. They're also such a low-grade plastic that recycling them is not worth it. Right now, you may have noticed that China has stopped accepting certain recyclable materials. We're actually, in some places, having trouble getting people to recycle our recyclables for us to take it. And so a lot of those recyclables, if you can't get certain countries like China, or you can't find a way to find a market for those recyclables, they're getting sent to the landfills, okay? So, you know, the issue with these plastic bags is they're one of the first things that people do not want countries like China, because it is a very low grade, low quality plastic. It is hard to recycle, it falls apart, and it's difficult to put through machinery. It also doesn't create another good quality product because of the type of plastic it is, which is why specifically those plastics were banned.
So let me, you only talk about the one side of the story. As I said, the plastic packaging issue is that recycle is the issue. You know what I'm saying? So now, the paper bag or recycled bag, when they have a landfill, actually paper take, the long story make sure, I don't want to hold it. This is what it is. Why don't we withdraw and work together, come up with a more practical idea, you know, and we figure out cost and so on. So let's move on that way, because you're going to put in the first ring, second ring, but I think it's not fair to us and your side. So I'm willing to spend some time with you to put it together, and then not only myself, you know what I'm saying? So let's say City of Jersey, we even reuse the bag, set up the rule. You know, if we have like a meat and fish have to be red color reusable bag. Well, greenery is a green bag colors, okay? Something, you know what I'm saying? So we put all those kind of efforts together to make something the best, or you know, something other city can follow us, okay?
Okay, if there's anything new to add, Councilman Solomon.
For plastic bags as opposed to banning them?
Yeah, so the fee is difficult just because it requires state authorization for adding a new tax. So a lot of other states allow that, but it's harder in New Jersey.
Okay, so we wouldn't, legally we can't do it. is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah. Perhaps the state will allow it at one point, but right now.
I think most of the places that do that, it is a state law that enables it, California, for instance.
Got it. And as that was, you know, to incorporating on this point, other cities and states have done this. Were there any that you guys looked to as models as you came up with this, and then, you know, potential implementation plans which were being discussed by some of the other council people?
Well, absolutely. We looked at a lot of different cities. And one thing, so you may know that a lot of cities in New Jersey, small cities, have been banning them in the past couple of years, and they've had fairly good reception so far. But as far as larger scale rollouts, one good example of sort of the impact of it in the long term is California, because they have the statewide ban. And basically what they found was that within 6 months, everybody had adjusted. They just changed their behavior. Yes. That's a very good question, Councilman Bogiano. So this is a fairly new phenomenon, and before that, we were able to manage just fine.
We've also been collaborating with Sustainable Jersey, with the League of Conservation Voters, with the Sierra Club, and taken some of the language from other cities across New Jersey and put it directly into this ordinance. So we have been researching this quite a bit.
To the point about charging fees.
Yeah.
So why couldn't we do that to the law department under the same premise that we use for earned sick days and a public health protections and so forth? I mean, there's a big, right, environmental health issue here.
Right. I mean, I can get into that issue. There might be some creative solution we can.
Other county charges 10 cents for each plastic bag when they're shopping, you know.
Not in Jersey.
Not in Jersey. And, you know, if you go, when I went to Korea, they not give you plastic bag. You gotta pay for that. You know what I'm saying? So we can combine with a couple of different plans, and we can limit it. And also Councilman Danny Rivera mentioned to that, actually, cost of the paper bags so is a huge burden to the small community. So maybe we say first year size over 3,000 square feet to grocery one so and so, and the next year maybe 2,000 after that, or like some kind of.
You mean the square footage of the retail establishment that
Yeah.
would be affected? We're very open to adding that into the legislation.
Not only that, so we just put a couple of things together. Let's work together, you know what I'm saying? So, Brian, your decision, you're gonna withdraw?
That's plastic.
Are we gonna ban the straw first?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Did we consider adding, you know, I guess some municipalities have put in laws that say, you know, you can only provide a straw upon request. Did we consider that?
We sorry.
We have considered it.
Yeah.
I think our initial take was that we wanted to start with this because it was a harder thing to monitor. However, we are open to that. I think trying to put a law in place where you can only get something upon request would be hard to enforce, whether or not someone actually requested it or not. There are some places that are banning all single-use plastics altogether, no matter what type they are. So that's another road. I mean, these people are getting more and more adamant about these plastics, but a good first step is the plastic bag ban because there are so many other alternatives and because it doesn't require much as far as a behavior change. It seems like a huge lift now, but it's just because we're so used to it.
So before we go forward, the plastic, you know, the straw bag first, right? So let's let's work together so we can introduce the next one, okay?
There's a request to withdraw.
Yeah.
Council members have made their opinions known, okay? If there's any specific requests outside of that with regard to amendments or other things like that, just have to clarify. I only heard the one request for
Sorry, I
withdrawal.
also wanted to add one more thing. So Laura Perano, who's the new engagement specialist within my office, she and I have been working together on a number of a huge list of information regarding plastic bags and why they're problematic and why bans might be a good way to go forward. And we're looking to sort of post that information on the Sustainable website so people can access it.
The effective date of this?
Nobody else.
6 months later.
6 months. So, I mean, I think there were a number of questions about implementation that were put out there, and it would be
Provide more information on that.
a regular update, should it pass, I'm not sure, given the conversation that I'm hearing here today. If it should pass, I think a regular update as to the implementation and rollout, so that we don't have the
Sure.
scenario with the parking that we had in the Heights and so forth around that. Yeah.
I agree with you, but instead we have so-and-so, okay, why don't we have some input from this city council? You know, so my strong recommendation is that we waste the time, withdraw, put something together, and then we can discuss a little more.
If there are any specific comments you have, we're happy to discuss.
There's a request to have it withdrawn. That's a councilman's request. Yeah.
Yeah, noted. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Irene and Andy. Oh, Stacy's here to discuss it? Okay. Stacy? Yeah, Stacy Flanagan. 10R. Oh, that's right, yeah.
talk about it. I'll call you on the pedestrian policy stuff.
Yeah.
Call my office
If this ends early, I'll come, but let me know. If there's any problem. Oh, also, Pedestrian Mall website has all the traffic, all the information. I forgot to tell you today. JerseyCityNJ.gov/pedestrian mall. It's got everything you need.
Okay, if you're leaving, thank you for joining us.
It's been real.
Do we want to let the other staffers know if they can come in here if they want?
Is that mine? Oh, no. I can't find my, Oh, never mind, I found it.
Kendrick, could you let the staffers know that they can come back in? Please. All right, folks, we have 10R. Let's go. 10R.
So for 10R, this is the resolution of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City authorizing the award of a contract with Liberty Humane Society to provide sheltering services for domestic pets pursuant to New Jersey State Assembly Law 40A. So that's the state code, 48-51. I don't know if anybody was. I have Irene and Andy here. So I can never pronounce your name. So Irene Borngraber is the Executive Director of Liberty Humane Society. She's here with the council, the board president, Andy Siegel. And they're here if you have any questions related to the sheltering services.
Irene knows what I'm talking about. I've spoken to Tommy and Jace about this. The county has to get more involved. Bergen County has to get more involved with Hudson County. And I understand we have a problem up in Union City now with the animals, and this has got to be solved because what's going on can't continue. And Irene, we've got to get money and got to get grant money for us.
We agree. So we are the only nonprofit animal shelter in all of Hudson County. We are the most densely populated county and the most densely populated state. That is highly unusual when it comes to animal services. We should not be the only nonprofit provider in the area. However, Hudson County, being the way Hudson County is, it is very expensive and difficult to operate in this area. And so the majority of North Hudson towns as well as West Hudson have not had responsible animal sheltering services for a very long time. So Union City is an example of one of those towns who is now seeing themselves in a difficult situation because the contractor they had previously worked with is now no longer viable for a number of reasons. So you're absolutely right, and we would love to speak to the county about possibility for expansion.
Also, we have to get the state involved, and the animals have to come first.
Irene, how much of the $300,000 plus $1,000 is for salary? And how much is it for, the space and, I guess, caring for the animals?
So I can email you a more detailed budget that actually breaks it down for sheltering. The bulk of our operating expenses are actually for workers' compensation, payroll taxes, salaries, as well as keeping the lights on, utilities in the building itself. So to run a 24/7 operation for the size of animals that we need for Jersey City, our total operating budget for this facility is $1.5 million. That includes our animal control sheltering as well, so approximately per year, $1.5 million per year. And of that, we raise approximately $450,000 to $500,000 in donor funds and grants in order to sustain the operation. But I can give you more additional. Yes.
Okay, any questions for Irene?
You had this contract previously? Correct. This is a restructuring of the existing contract to meet new corporation counsel's requirements that the contract reflect exactly the services that we're providing. It's actually less money than was being paid before, but now we're updating it under the new terms. The term is the same. This is just a restructuring so we can properly get paid, which we don't regularly do, get properly paid.
TNR work, you said the community cats, tell me a little about it and how many cats you end up doing TNR for.
So I have some statistics statistics here. Let me pull up my TNR numbers.
What are TNR?
Trap
So-
and release
Trap, neuter.
for feral cats, where you would,
Got it, understood, just wanted to get it out there.
too much
Yes.
jargon.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Let me just look at my numbers here. So far this year, we have TNR, trapped, neutered, and released 229 cats that have come in through the sheltering system. Now, these are just cats who are coming to our attention with animal control. Someone is calling in a neighborhood dispute, there is an issue, there's a nuisance complaint about cats in someone's yard, and these are oftentimes cats who are being fed by another neighbor. This is the challenge that we have in Jersey City, is that there are people who are feeding outdoor cats, they're feeding feral cats, and they're not spaying and neutering them, largely because of the cost, sometimes because they're physically unable to do so, and this is contributing to a burgeoning population problem that's just creating more kittens and more cats. Where we get into conflict is when one neighbor decides on one side that they don't like the cats and the other neighbor's feeding them. And so to resolve the problem, and the easiest way that we can, is to spay and neuter those cats. It prevents the population from increasing, but it also eliminates some of the nuisance behaviors that the neighbors may not like. So we have been doing that through our animal control agreement as well as through our animal sheltering agreement. And those services actually are funded in part by the sheltering facility. So of that budget, actually $25,000 on an annual basis just goes to spay and neuter subsidies for outdoor cats.
Morristown or something, or wherever?
No, we brought all of the work in partnership with People for Animals, so we now have a partnership that we maintain all the animals within our community as part of the low-cost wellness community offerings that we give. So we've integrated together, so there's one now partnership that does it all, and we're going to expand it. I think some of you may be aware that Jacqueline Fulton, the mayor's wife, and Exchange Place Physical Therapy did an amazing job raising money with us. We recently raised $125,000 through private donors, of which we then spent on buying a 44-foot-long bus that will be a portable medical van that we're going to take out into the neighborhoods and provide more services. So it's not just the low-cost services, but actually extending it out into the neighborhoods so people that can't get to our facility, we're going to be able to take it out into the facility. So more initiatives like this, going on throughout the city.
You say you provide the service 24/7, right? Okay, now, how many people is working daytime, nighttime, evening times? Can you tell me that?
It depends. So we have two different contracts with the city, and we provide animal control services, which are 24/7, and we also provide animal sheltering services. The animal sheltering and the animal care component is not staffed in the evenings. Staff are there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Sunday, every day of the week, to make sure that animal care needs are taken care of. Our animal care staff in total, I can give you our numbers. Let me just make sure I'm citing the right here. We have 11 animal care staff, 2 part-time veterinarians, and 4...
11 full-time staff, 2 part-time veterinarians,
And
are part of the
4
animal welfare program.
Yes, 4 of us are in fundraising and administrative personnel, so I'm one of those 4. And those are just on the sheltering side, those are not included on the animal control side.
So roughly about 17 people in that side supporting that. Animal control is 24/7, there's telephone support people, there's animal control officers. That's a different agreement. We're talking only tonight about the sheltering agreement.
And why this is being presented, because from May to last year to May to this year was when we switched to provide a contract for animal control services, but the former sheltering contract had emergency provision for sheltering services, which was reduced in this contract. So the sheltering contract is a reduction from last year because they're already doing the 24/7.
So sheltering cost of City of Jersey, $300-some-thousand. Then annual control cost is how much is it per year?
Animal control cost,
City of Jersey.
City, $555,000. Last year, there was a height in cost for startup, and so total cost, as we at the end of this year, then there'll be a January 1 to December, because we had to switch how the contracts were being done. So in the new year, it'll come out to be slightly under $900,000, which is actually about a $400,000 cost saving for the city because of all of the staffing overhead that we had that are now on grants in the city. They're operating cheaper without the benefit structure of the city.
That is the challenge the city has in staffing services that are 24/7 is ensuring a response and ensuring that you're meeting civil service requirements, which means you have to have radically more staff members than we do as a nonprofit organization.
And we raise 40 cents of every dollar to support the differences between those kind of services, so there's continuity regardless.
In addition, the space that they're on is city space, and many of you have probably met with them about their vision and goals for the future. So they're on a DPW land, and we charge $1 a year. Therefore, we give them permission to also do the work in Bayonne and Hoboken because they're prepared and able to do it, but our animals in sheltering come first.
See, that's the reason I'm asking the staff members. The Humane Society not only control that serves the sheltering and animal control serves not only just, do you do that at Bayonne, right?
We have not started in Bayonne, but we have a contract signed effective June 21st.
Okay,
We
so
also do, currently we serve Hoboken as well.
Hoboken, so three. So 3 cities, the most populated 3 cities, Jersey City, Hoboken, and the Bayonne. And then you have actual animal control staff members, go out street, response call. How many you have?
We have 7 animal control officers in addition to 2 animal control dispatchers who don't normally go on calls, but they do the call routing.
Okay, so 7 people cover 3 cities, right?
Correct.
Okay. 24/7.
24/7.
So 24/7 operating by 7 people. How?
That's why we're a nonprofit.
How is a great question. You know, with years of experience and understanding how to avoid situations, how to educate the public, how to understand what an emergency is, how to make sure that we work with the police department, with the health departments. You know, our job is to reduce our workload. Our job is to keep emergencies from happening. So over time, you know, we're taking on the Bayonne contract. It's a big new initiative. We hope to get the same success that we've had in Jersey City, which is reducing demand over the years by getting more involved with the community and doing things like trap and release, reducing recidivism on adoptions, making sure that the public understands how to take care of animals. Over time, this is how we do it. Do less. Do better and do less.
Yes. So, you know, 7 animal control take care of 3 cities. 24/7 service.
So just to give you a perspective, we had only 3 officers in 2013.
Provide a great service, great, you know, plan, or you guys have the very poor service, either one.
Councilors, we have a lengthy agenda before us. This is literally the 3rd item we're on, so I'm going to ask, sheltering, we can have another conversation about that. We can schedule a separate conversation. But I'd like to move on if we can, if it's not on the exact agenda. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I have more. Which one is next? Did you put them separate?
No.
Wait, you're not doing them all together?
Let's do them all. Since you're here.
No, we're here.
Since you're here. 10R.
That's what we just did.
Oh, you did 10R?
Yeah.
Okay, 10X.
10X. Okay.
Resolution authorizing the Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept grant funds from the state of New Jersey, Department of Health, Division of Family Health Services, for a senior farmer market nutrition program.
Okay, this is for $1,750,
Yeah,
right?
so it's just a management grant. They give us extra money when they give us the $70,000 of vouchers for senior FMMP.
Markets. How are those like decided where they go?
So
Is it the responsibility of like the Parks Association?
No. How farmers markets are established? Or if FMMP? Uh-huh. announcements made that there's farmers markets throughout the city and there aren't any in Ward A. So how?
Oh, there was one in Ward A,
But there's
there was
not
a
now.
planned, yeah, there's not now. Typically, farmers markets across the country start July 1st in line with these supportive federal food programs. So there's still time. The community initiates every single farmers market is managed by when do you want to come up here? Is managed by a community group, a parks association, or a SID. The SID gets a right of refusal inside the SID as per the ordinance to operate the farmers market in their territory. Parks associations get the first right of refusal to operate one in their park. If the Friends of Berry Lane Park want to open up a farmers market, they simply call the department. They ask for the division director, that's Angela's team, Karina Miles. She manages the farmers markets. They fill out a cultural affairs form for an event. They go through a standard event protocol so that it gets on the calendar. If it's a park that the city manages, then we internally work with DPW and cultural affairs to make sure that that's on the calendar. If it's a county park.
It takes a lot of work, a lot of volunteerism.
No, I just wanted to make sure that was something that the.
Yeah, so we've been told Audubon Park wants it. You can talk to Mira offline about how wonderfully engaged local parks are. We've got a lot of great park leadership.
If it's something that needed to be spurred by a particular park,
Mhm.
like
We had a vision
it's
to.
the park's responsibility to actually take that on, right?
Well, not the park, there are nonprofits,
Or
have
community
park
organization,
They work in a park, they might be a
Community
lawn
driven.
association.
Right.
Yeah, community driven.
Not driven by the
Has to
city.
be a
Yes,
community.
exactly.
Because we went into some neighborhoods and nobody wanted us there. And so.
There used to be one that, like around the JCU.
Yeah, I remember that.
Folks,
So I just wanted to clarify.
kind of fell out and they
Yeah.
weren't able to stay engaged.
And they were brought in the wrong farmer. And that was significant to this particular one because they brought in a farmer that didn't accept these FMNPs, and the farmer lost over $2,000 that year. The same thing happened at the Washington Park Association, and we paid those farmers to just save face for the community, and they picked the wrong farmer, which is why we passed an ordinance saying every farmer must accept these coupons. These are federal coupons. We get $70,000 just for seniors across the city. They're low income based. Seniors fill out the forms at their senior center, senior home, and or activity space where a senior engages. They send it to us, and we get $1,700 to manage it.
10-1. Resolution authorizing the city Department of Health and Human Services to accept grant funds from the state of New Jersey, Department of Health and Human Senior Services, Division of HIV, STD, and TB Services for STD education, screening, treatment, and execute a grant agreement.
This is a pretty standard agreement. We've been doing this for the last 35 years. This is part of the city clinic.
Any questions on this? No. Hearing none, 10Z2.
Okay, this is a resolution authorizing, you have the updated one? Authorizing the City of Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept a grant award from the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association. So we had an updated MOU from the partner to just, they were going to give us all this money, we were going to buy the smoothie bike with it, it didn't get passed through the partnership. They're going to give us some funds so we can do some more work in the farmers markets, in the bodegas, and community development related to healthy heart and stroke prevention.
Any questions? No. All right.
And then the walk-on?
Oh, and then we have one walk-on, which I don't have a draft of that.
Okay, so I will explain to you that June 20th is World Refugee Day. As the department is the new home of the Division of Immigrant Affairs, we've been requested by some of our partners to issue a resolution at the next meeting supporting the State Assembly resolution to acknowledge World Refugee Day. So as a sanctuary city.
It was intended to be on there. There was a mix-up with some of the paperwork and whatnot, so it'll be walked on. It's a ceremonial resolution. We'll get it out to you via email, yeah. Make sure you get it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Community meeting about the pedestrian plaza expansion, but I'm trying to connect with all of you on the Senator ordinance and just hear where everyone's here. Obviously, you may have a discussion without me, but I'll call everybody and,
Okay.
we'll go from there. Ready? Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Solomon. Tawana, you're up. 10U?
See, I remember the 60s, right?
Hey.
Okay, 10U. Is a resolution authorizing a shared services agreement pursuant to the Uniform Shared Services Consolidation Act for the city to provide on-duty police services to the Jersey City Housing Authority.
So this one is just, we used to have, of course, you know, the off-duty one. I'm Tawana, the Division Director of Public Safety for Police. And so, of course, with the $280,000 for housing, we already have around the clock at, is it Marion and Curry Woods already. So we want to be able to still provide services for the other housing authorities that's there. So what we'll do is have a schedule that's put together with Vivian so that cops are there from 3 to 11, anything that goes with overtime so that they can still enforce their one-strike program and the needs that they have. So it's something that we will bill out once a month. We'll bill them and they'll give us the money back and reimburse us for it. So instead of the off-duty, it would be on-duty.
Now, are we paying off-duty, overtime pricing or salaries? Or are we
Right.
paying regular salaries?
For the overtime, they're doing overtime rate, they're doing their regular salaries, but the overtime rate if it goes on overtime.
You know,
I don't see it becoming too, like, in talking to Vivian, I'm not sure how much of it will become, but they only have $280,000, which will not get us through the year, meaning like we know the funding will run out, but we want to be able to still keep the recordings that we're still providing the service to them because they're still a part of the city and want to still keep that services protected.
Way much more money than just having a cop come in and work normally.
Well, they're doing it on regular. It's only overtime if it runs over, if they run into an issue. Because if you see there, if you read it, it says regular. From 3 to 11, they want the services from 3 to 11 at regular.
Says that it's doing overtime.
If it runs over, so you had to give the overtime rate. So like our cops ranges, so say for instance, someone goes past that time, an arrest happens, something happened, they have to stay, housing is responsible to pay that at an overtime rate to us. So we just had to list it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Because it says, unit police officers shall be based on the overtime rates ranging from $27.33 per hour to $63.03 per hour, and the overtime costs for the police supervisor. Like, so it's basically saying that's the compensation.
That's just listing the minimum and maximum overtime rates. It's not saying that they have to be overtime. If there's an overtime cost, those are the rates that are allowed.
So, can I ask, what is the difference between on duty and off duty? Off duty, if assigned the, what are they called, the housing authority, right?
On duty is,
Yeah, on duty, so this one is before the off duty police officer. In other words, sign the police officer off duty, he stay there, whatever hours he assigned. On duty, we only responsibility of Jersey City when they call for any instant. Is that right?
Because we have a housing unit. So the 4 officers that you read in there and the 1 civil unit is going to be a unit that's assigned over to Vivian, based out of the chief office. And so whatever the needs they may have, those officers is who's going to handle it at what location she needs them at.
housing units officer funding by City of Jersey City or federal? Their paycheck?
It's a unit that we're
Units,
gonna
right?
have. Mhm.
So those people, 7 days a week, 3 to 11 p.m., their always is there?
Yes, it's going to be a unit that they're assigned out to. They're assigned to housing, so if they're not in Booker T, they may be at any housing complex they may have or find raising a problem at. Wherever Vivian needs them at, it's something that to be able to help her.
Assign those area for officer. If we call, they're not out of from the area.
Now, if an emergency occurs inside of the city, it is written that our guys come pulled out of there, and we need to deal with what's in the city first versus there. So it takes precedent over. It is written there. Okay.
Regular duty, and we don't currently staff them there. Are we pulling them from different precincts to
Well,
say?
we have a graduation that's coming on Thursday. So you have officers that's coming out. So whatever which way the chief, he picks them. It's the Chief Kelly that will pick the 4 police officers and the supervisor. So wherever he grabs them from. When I'm speaking to him earlier, he's still working on where he would pull them from. So that's something he would grab.
There's only 2 housing sites that you're gonna cover, Mary and Curry Woods, right?
Well, Mary and Curry Woods, they do that around the clock already. So with Booker T, if you ran into a problem with Booker T or Hudson Gardens, because she was just saying concerns of just 3 of them. So if they say, okay, it's Hudson Gardens today, that's where 2 of them will go. It's wherever she needs them or finding needs for them.
Did you say it was around the clock?
Yeah, well, Curry Woods, 3 to 11 is the one for the ordinance, Monday through, does 7 days a week, so that she can have that. But the other ones we already cover at Marion and Curry Woods around the clock already on duty. Yes, those are on-duty cops that's there. They've been around the clock there, period. That's for the presence that's out there. So she would only just utilize the other ones at ones that's not a big issue, but she wants the presence to be there, so if she had to have the strike program, anything like that, she has it available to her. So wherever she puts them, that's why we gave it the housing unit. The supervisor will be responsible. They'll do invoices, and we'll invoice them out once a month and get the money back in that way. Well, it's a cost we still gonna carry because we still, yes. So 280 is all they had, but it's something we have to do to keep the community safe.
To staff police officers down housing authority anyway. And I know at one time what they were paying, like $35 an hour.
Yes, it was a flat rate of $35,000 that they was doing.
So now what's the difference?
Well, what happened is, because that was off-duty, and then they shut the whole off-duty from housing down.
Right.
So she still needs services that's over there, so we still had to try to provide an agreement to be able to help her, still assist them down there, so the cops, we can't, that's why it's a minimum only 4 for right now.
Right.
If she runs into an emergency and it comes back, we're here to help her, but we couldn't offer too many officers at one time. But that's just to replace where we took the off-duty people out.
Yeah, but the last year when we do the off-duty job, this is almost the same amount we do that the off-duty job.
They set amount as their housing rate. I think it's always been 280 as
That's
they
what I'm
max.
saying.
So we stayed within it. So all we're gonna try to do is work with what they have and still provide them the services.
Yeah, Tawana, I
Yes.
just want to tell you something.
Okay.
The other day I heard from the north, they pull 1 or 2 radio cars a night and send them to the south or the west. They want it stopped, all right? And Shay, Mike Kelly runs the police department, not public safety. And people up in the north and C&D are getting tired of cars being pulled from us to send down to the west and to the south.
They're going to the west and to the south.
And to the south.
Keep
And we
coming.
want it stopped.
You know what they mean to stop? Don't do it.
I want them to keep coming.
I would just like to know why they're being dispatched. If there's a good reason, probable cause for them to go,
No, they
then
do it every
obviously.
single night.
There might be a reason why.
There might be a reason why.
Listen, when you put 3 cops on the corner standing there, look, Tawana, nothing against you, but the people running this department don't know what they're doing. And we had years ago units out there in plain clothes. We have different types of units. They've done away with it. Put 3 cops standing on the corner and say you got a fixed post. All you're doing is moving the criminals from one corner to another corner. It's got to stop. And I'm getting a lot of complaints from people, and I'm sure Mike is. And the crime is getting worse up in C&D, and we're tired of this pulling off cars.
Maybe C, not D.
I mean,
Not an issue, that has nothing to do with you.
I just want to give credit.
Okay, Councilman Rivera.
I just want to give credit to Captain Edgar Martinez because
Yeah.
he does allow some of his officers to go out, and I have not heard that C&D's crime rate has gone up. I think he's done extremely well as a North District captain, and I'm sure
he's
Mike
done a
you
fantastic job.
can attest to that as well, because his district is he's very happy with the North District commander.
So am I. Martinez, I call Martinez, he takes care of problems right away. Crime is, we're getting hit with car break-ins, we're getting hit with packages being stolen, house entries, and it's getting worse. And half of it's not being reported because people, and I've been saying this for 30 years, most people don't respond or call in because they feel nothing's going to be done about it.
We understand, but the Councilman Rich was very clear. He want to make sure that our share stay with our side. So we have a different type of issue, but we have an issue car breaking, so we want to try to make sure that those can be a little down, you know what I'm saying? So the way he said, stop doing that, right?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Really ironic. This is from the health department. You know what they're going to be giving out? Plastic bags. Did you read it?
I didn't read it.
I didn't read it,
This
we
is
just
a
got
joke.
it. We just got it.
Are they reusable plastic bags?
Rich. Yes.
So you should look at that.
Yeah.
To the business administrators. You need to look at this. What is that, the Heart Association thing?
It's the second sheet. Here, do you want to?
I didn't get a copy on it.
Chief, thank you for being patient, Chief. Thanks for your help on the,
I think these are reusable. They're branded. I think they're reusable.
let's give the chief our attention.
We got Z10 and Z11.
Z10 is a contract to Safeware, Inc. for process management and emergency medical services, administrative consulting services through the U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance for the Division of Fire.
I'll make it easy. Any questions?
We should note that Jerome Powell would be here, except he's retiring this month.
Yes, he is. Right now, I don't think anybody.
He's irreplaceable.
He is irreplaceable. He's irreplaceable is what he said, so. Some of the responsibilities are going to pass over to me, some of the budget stuff, I hope, anyway. That's what they've been telling me. So, yeah. I don't know, so, but, go ahead.
But I gotta say thank you to firefighter. Last Saturday, they saved one of the cat on top of the sign.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
And we call
We do save cats.
547-5477, waiting for 20 minutes, nobody responds. Even I called the 911 twice. Even 10 minutes passed, nobody responds. But luckily, one of the fire truck, I think there was 14 and the group C.
Right.
I saw that they're passing by, we called them up, they come out, they're able to save the cat, really, poor cat. So thank you for that, name of the guy.
Councilman Young, finish.
So name of the guy is a firefighter, is a Frank, and their team, great job, I'm really appreciating it.
I appreciate it.
Even though cat is,
I'll relay the message.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
10Z11. This is a award of a contract to Safeware, Inc. for the purchase and installation of a first responder camera system through the U.S. Communities Government Purchasing Alliance for the Division of Fire Safety. Any questions?
This is for the fireboat. Yeah, Marine One, which is our bigger boat, which is a federal grant. Part of it being a CBRN, which is, it responds to chemical, biological, nuclear radiation, and explosions. It's part of the requirement that we have a thermal imaging camera on it. The last system we had is obsolete and broken. This is basically replacing that. So that keeps us in line with the CBRN capability of that boat, which keeps us the grant money coming in, so. I think it is. I'm not sure. Is it? No, Danny says no, so. Yeah. It was in the Ward D, right? Yeah, I don't know about the police boat, but we still have the Marine One, the boat that this going on to is still out of service due to a transmission problem, but we're hoping everything's in the water by July 4th for the festivities we have, so. But this equipment is expensive, but it's covered by the grant. Good? Yep, thank you. Have a great night, be safe.
Jerry's party, tell him we could be there, but they scheduled it on
when is
a council meeting night. Wednesday night. Wednesday night.
Um,
Just ask our friends to bring pierogies and we'll.
did we do a resolution?
I don't think we did, but I will get one.
Let's get one together, yeah.
He's not returning to the end of the month, we can do it next meeting.
Yeah, we could do it.
No, but for his
He's not leaving
party,
till the end of the
no?
month. We'll summon him here
summon
and
him?
embarrass him.
If he comes, I don't know if he'd, why would you come back? Yeah.
That'll be the next contract.
He'll come and take a bow.
We'll find a pretextual reason.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
He'll come and take a bow.
All right, Stephanie Santana. Hi, Stephanie.
It's a joke.
Stephanie comes to us from the Division of Community Development. Division of Community Development. She has 10S and 10T. 10S is a resolution authorizing the execution of a mortgage subordination agreement affecting the property known as 78 Martin Luther King Drive, also known as Block 25601, Lot 1, and Block 1343, Lot 24. Stephanie? Any questions on that? No. Okay. We have, next one's 10T. It's a resolution authorizing a lump sum drawdown agreement between the City of Jersey City and Investors Bank. This is for the home improvement program. Anything you want to say about that, Stephanie?
So this resolution is just an administrative process that we have to follow per the HUD regulations. And this funds is all the backlog that we had in order to relaunch the program. So this is just all the funding that we had when the program got stopped. So we're trying to relaunch this popular program. So in order to do that, we must satisfy the HUD regulation and put this money into a bank account in order to do a drawdown. Yes, it formerly was HORP. Yes, this is HORP. So we're trying to restart the program, so that's one of the steps that we have to do in order to do this.
What other council people have had issues with the grant program? Yeah.
So home improvement program, but you guys hired some inspector, lead test inspector, something like that, you guys have now?
We just hired a lead inspector, yes. How long ago? I believe like a month ago.
Months ago.
1 month.
But now, my concern is that you guys say that 2015 they spent 518, 2016 526. How you guys spend without inspector?
So this is funds that we have not touched. We have not spent, and we're trying to spend it. We're trying to start the project. So we've been holding on to these fundings in order to start the program. So that's why we hired an inspector in order to relaunch the process.
Okay, so we have still on the list?
Probably you know that, right?
Yeah.
I hope the senior gets some grant.
Yes, they will. Yes,
Right?
yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
We could just get the list again for that, I think I requested this during the agenda meeting.
So you want
Who's
the
on the
list?
list from 2015 and going through? We want to make sure.
So yeah, we have a waiting list of those people, those individuals. So we'll share it to you guys. Okay.
And the name and address, which word did they located?
Okay, no problem.
Yes,
The years. Okay. Any other questions?
2014.
I know we've been getting calls every day, so we're trying to speed up the process. So in order to start this process, we need to do this. Okay. Okay. I'll provide this list to you. Thank you.
All right. Let's move on then to, is Andrew still here?
Yeah, he's talking with Danny.
Let's not do that. That's going to take a while. Is Mark here?
Mark was.
It's all right. Christine is here. Come on, Christine. Is she on the list? I don't have her paper.
It's right there.
No. this young lady there?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Christina has 10Z. Starting at 10Z.
This is a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a grant award from the National Endowment for the Arts. We received an NEA Big Read grant. And we're partnering with the Educational Arts Team and the Jersey City Public Library for a massive citywide event in early 2019 that will bring together over 30 partners and to really share the love and celebrate the love of reading around one book title. So we have events planned through the whole.
So I'm looking through this. I don't see a summary description of the program. Did you include that?
Did I send it to you?
The award letter is here, but it doesn't describe what you just said there, which is, or is it, no, treatment of logos, all that stuff. So if we can get that, it'd be great. And I'll say this to Brian, it's, we discussed it at the agenda meeting.
Yeah.
So like,
I sent it to you via email on June 6th.
well, you can't rely on me to
Yeah, yeah,
disseminate
well,
it to the
and
council.
Margaret,
It's,
and Margaret.
well,
I sent both of
but
you.
it should get into the agenda. It should be in the,
Okay.
in the agenda as part of the package, for the public as well, right?
Sure,
So,
okay.
so they know what's going on. Congratulations. This is a big award. It's like very competitive. I know, I remember I applied with NJCU for that, with our, one of our departments there, and it's definitely a competitive program.
As a coordinator, did a big role in it too, so.
Yeah. 10Z4,
Resolution authorizing contracts with various musical performers to provide various performances at Berry Lane Wednesday concert series. Z5 is all connected. It's the Jazz for Lunch Thursday concert series. Z6 is the Summerfest Sunday concert series. Z7 is the Summerfest Tuesdays concert series. So maybe we can knock them all off at once.
All right, good. I have a problem. This thing's going on, probably you and me have same problem that there. This thing's going on many years, since actually that they are made under the mayor still full of this thing's going on till today. If we see the G4, they're going to spend almost $7,000 a Berry Rain Wednesday concert, and the Z5, $7,200 for the Thursday concert at the lunch in the exchange place. Z6, $11,500 Liberty State Park. That's the Sunday. And another Tuesday, $10,000 for the Liberty State Park. How about the C and D and A or B? I mean, this is, you know what? Don't just say that this is, when I look at it, it's a disgusting. People of Jersey not only pay the tax, these area people. So we have how many? We have the 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 major events. And the one is Berry Rain F. And the 3 is all concentrated downtown. What's wrong with that? We pay same tax. Why don't we fair share?
We pay more taxes.
Yeah, that's true too. We do the like a 20, we do C and D pay more tax than downtown. Now, we have a Pershing Field, we have a Riverview, we have a Mosquito Park. Over here, C has a Journal Square. Why we cannot get any piece of that, special Liberty State Park next to the Liberty House? Why they have a Sunday, Thursday, 2 events? I mean, tell me why.
Well, we're actually not at Liberty House this coming summer. What we are doing is trying 2 different locations. We're actually going to be on the far south end of Liberty State Park, and the reason why is to draw attention to that beautiful area that hasn't had any ongoing events, where the flags are and where you have the kayaking and all of the really important nature preserve.
We don't have the beautiful places, so we cannot have it?
I absolutely agree with you, and actually this... Yep, And this past Saturday, we actually had the Riverview Jazz Festival. I'm not sure if you were there, but it was a fantastic event where I can pull together exactly how much we contributed to the Riverview Jazz organization to put on this festival. We spent several $1,000s on sponsoring them in tent rentals. We brought out our full staff. We did face painting all day. We've helped with the whole week. We printed banners and hung them, helped them hang across the city to promote in Riverview Park.
Jazz Fest, at least they go around the citywide.
Excuse me?
Yeah, they do.
There were events across the city.
Across the city, but not this one. Almost every week, just a certain area. Give me some fair show. Instead of do that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Instead of 8 event is one location, 4 for downtown, 4 for Height, 4 for Journal Square, 4 for A and B. Why we cannot divide a little bit? Why we have to do 8 different events to one specific location only, which is what we call downtown?
It's all about
You know what?
If I can comment, Councilman, if I may.
Yeah.
So Riverview Jazz Festival was extraordinary. Myself, and I was there, Councilman Waterman and Councilwoman Waterman and Councilwoman Prinzari were there as well. Had a great time on closing day. I understand it was at multiple locations throughout the city, but several locations in the Heights, the Fox and Crow, and other locations in the Heights as well. Over at Journal Square at Magnolia Landing, I believe. In fairness to the director, this has come up before, and it's been suggested that if there was something that somebody wanted to do in other parts of the city, just let her, I recall it very vividly, let her know, and she will organize around it. I'm sure we can find $10,000 per ward to do a summer series or something like that.
This summer event is organized by the cultural fair. You know what I'm saying? So when you do organize it, why don't you just share with a different area, A, B, C, D? You know what I'm saying? So
Where would you like to see it?
Where would you like to see her?
Oh,
Riverview or?
Riverview, whatever. Riverview, Pershing Fields, or Mosquito Park. Mosquito Park is good too.
Magnolia Landing? I mean, just
Yeah.
say where.
Just say where.
The Mosquito Park, yes, do it.
Michael, just so you know, from an event planning perspective, it really takes about a year to put these things together, so now is the time to talk with the director about 2019. And I'm telling you this as somebody who does a festival in Lincoln Park with the county. And I think that your point is very valid. I agree. I would love to see that money spread throughout the wards, but you really, now's the time to plan for next year.
Move downtown for a second.
I mean, Michael, to your point, I agree to your point, and I think that maybe this money is downtown heavy, but these events are already planned and they're going to be moving forward.
I
so-
expect actually, not only myself, every council member except the E and F, I think every council member will have to up arm, but so do me a favor, okay, this year, I don't know, it take 1 year to prepare for the event. I do the most events in Jersey years ago, probably, organize it, but a couple of dozens of events I did over the years, but now, you know what, let's go on. But I'm not gonna be a favor to do this one, but next year, I like to see some, with your new leadership, you know what I'm saying? Care about the height, where you live.
She cares about you. The Riverview Jazz Festival has world-class musicians, and, with the resources that we have, we will continue to build and expand the programming, and if you have any ideas, I'd be happy to help implement them, again, so that it's a good fit for your community and your neighborhood. So, I mean, I can sit on a perch and say, well, I think that this is going to be good for this neighborhood, and this is going to be good for this neighborhood, but if I have some guidance, it's helpful, and I'm happy to implement that.
You just tell me the reason, then I'm going to be able to get upset about you. Tell me that. Before you put your plan together, why don't you ask us? Why don't you contact with us? The person who not contact with you to put your plan together, you're the one. And this one issue, no, this issue we brought every year.
It's a shared responsibility.
Yeah, we brought this up.
Last year we did that. Year before we do that, so now.
I'm raising my hand. I'm going to take responsibility for making sure it gets to the Heights and Journal Square area, okay? And Ward A and B too. And we make sure it's in every part of the city.
Sit down and talk about it. I'm definitely happy to do that, for sure.
Sure. Why is that But the artists paid more in Liberty Park. Is
That's
it,
one of my questions.
you know, like, if they like paid, is it better acts?
Well, traditionally, it's been a very large stage, and because it's in Liberty State Park, in order for the sound to carry through the actual venue, they tend to have larger bands. We use the city stage as locally as we travel, and only so many musicians fit on the stage, and those tend to be smaller bands. So. Yeah, but if you have a recommendation of a band that you'd like to see, definitely let me know. We're always building up our Rolodex, and we're definitely always looking for new talent.
You actually, you know what I'm saying? So now, let me ask this one. We pay, so this one pay for the musician, right? But the stages, you know, set up the stage, all the sound system, who pay for that? City of Jersey City?
Who pays for the sound system?
Yeah, sound system and the stage set up, all those costs. For which one? For the all this event.
It's a mix. Sometimes if we feel like it would mean our employees working 7 days a week, we will have a company that will come in for at least one of the days to alleviate the staff, but most of the time it's our staff that brings generators and sound equipment and runs the soundboard and does all the labor involved. It's a major endeavor.
Maybe some seasonal workers for that period?
That's why we give to a lot of seasonal employees, you know. So, but City of Jersey City is paid for.
They do.
Yeah.
They sure do.
They are great people, I got no complaint.
Down July 11th and August 29th. That's two separate dates, right? That's not through July 11th through August 29th, right? We're saying he's doing two separate.
Every Wednesday from July.
Oh, he's playing every Wednesday.
Yeah, he's opening.
No, just that one line, the DJ.
Terrence.
Yeah, he's the
Plays at the
DJ.
beginning. Yes, the DJ plays for every performance for the beginning. For Berry Lane. Okay. To sort of get people excited, and so we can finish the sound check.
The band, she's kind of just like opening up.
Half hour maybe.
Is there any way we can like try to bring some of this entertainment over into like the Journal Square area, like?
That's what I just said, yeah.
We just went through that.
But too, though,
Coffee break.
she needs the input too, so they get the acts that they like, things like that. You really need the community to say too, because I know with some of these places, the community suggested some of these artists here. I've seen that. So, Rich, you should make sure you meet with your people and see what kind of acts they want up that way.
Port Authority.
Yeah.
Your Apple Tree House is fabulous. We have an advisory committee meeting next in a week. We just had our first formal tour of 80 middle school students from PS 11. It's the first time we've done a formal tour celebrating the history of Bergen Square. So we had 3 groups. One started at Apple Tree House, one started at Old Bergen Church, and one started near PS 11. And the community members who are part of our historic-based organizations volunteered to lead these groups. And we also had cultural affairs staff taking notes so that we could replicate this and serve more young people going forward. We documented the whole process. I have a one-sheet for all of you guys I'll send to you so you can see the children. And we also learned that next year 4th graders are focusing on a chapter of local history, particularly Jersey City history. So we think that's going to be a great opportunity to get all 4th graders coming through Apple Tree House, in segments throughout the year. And we also thank the public school system for working with us on that. We work very closely with them. So we had a great start, and we're going to keep building on the programming.
So now, as a cultural director, you guys are going to move to the Apple Tree House, right? They moved already.
A portion of our staff is on the 2nd floor. The 1st floor is open for the public for museum use. We're working with the Apple Tree Advisory Committee, which is a powerhouse committee that they're incredible. There are community stakeholders, education, and they are helping us guide the programming for Apple Tree House. We want to make sure that the programming we roll out is smart, that it can sustain itself, and we've also gotten grants from the humanities.
Renting it out to, we have a contract for the council for EDC, and they're taking up like the space there.
Okay, now, Director, then let me explain to you. Director, look at me. Don't look at him. Look at me.
Is this about the items on the agenda or something else that we should maybe talk about? Okay.
What are we talking about?
No, Apple Tree House.
Okay. Okay, the councilman, can we have a separate conversation? I mean, it's all on this, yeah. Let's move on.
Anything else?
On this, you have 10Z8, right?
Yep, that's it. That was it.
This is the,
Risk manager to issue a certificate of continued use of Liberty State Park by the city as a venue for various cultural and entertainment events.
That's for Summerfest.
that's for all the Summerfest stuff, okay. Yep. Oh, 10Z9 is yours as well.
Well, I spoke on that last time. It's back on here because I didn't get a PO in time.
10Z9 is back, you didn't have a PO last time.
The explanation to maybe save some time, Councilman, the $10,000 extra that you were talking about, it's our obligation to police the other side of the Hudson River for unexploded fireworks, and that's part of the fee that makes it what it is.
So, I think that's so City Council Robertson is a different issue than what I have. What I have is that we're gonna give to this company, firework company, $135,000 of the contract without public bid. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, you actually, reason why it doesn't require the public bid, they say this specific company, creative character in the firework, and recognize the field of artistic flavor maybe they put in endeavor on it. So now, tell me what their job is creative in character than compared different than other firework company.
Right, I have that for you. I pulled that together after our last one about them being, Ferrucci being the first family of fireworks and what they do that really sets them apart artistically. Because it didn't go on the council, it didn't go last time. I have it for you and I can send that to you.
Yes, show me pictures.
Yep.
This creative fire, nobody can do in the world, only this company they do. They create a beautiful so-and-so, nobody can do, this is the only one company do. So if I can find out, other company can provide same kind of firework, then I'm gonna bring up issue. Because when you give us a city $135,000 contract, they should be fair, open, public bid. So your suggestion, because two excuse have to be put this council, yes, they are different. So give me some photos, color for, so we can look at it, okay?
Sure.
All right, good. Thank you very much.
Okay, Donna, you're up. Donna has 10B, 10C, 10D. B as in boy, 10B, 10C, 10D. First one is a resolution authorizing the use of reserve funds in the calendar year 2018 municipal budget as anticipated revenue. Anyone have questions about this?
How much money come from the 1.2?
All right, go ahead.
This is your reserve fund, right?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the what?
Reserve fund, the last year.
Okay, 10C is a resolution canceling aging items of a reserve in the current fund and authorizing their use as anticipated revenue in the calendar year 2018 municipal budget. So it's found money.
For $500,000, what is that?
That was money that we had to keep on reserve when we had taken over the JCIA. They had to turn over any funds that they had. So we put that in a reserve, and we held it in a reserve to pay all the invoices that came in after we took them over. So now that enough time has passed, there's no more aging, there's no more invoices. We were actually, when we sent in our financial statement to the state, they asked me to look at these reserves and say, do you still need them? If you don't need them, I want you to cancel them. So that's what we're doing. Same thing with the parking authority, same exact thing. That money's there since we took the parking authority over.
The parking authority, because I see that they're $10,000. Parking authority, they're missing that they hand the fund, $3,000, what happened? They're from the money bag, so yeah, it's a meters bag.
Remember the $3,000? What happened? We provided a report to council, right?
No, nobody reported yet. So tell me what happened.
Okay.
$3,000.
Well, we can provide you a report. It was, we'll send a report. We'll send a report. It was likely an issue on the bank side of things after it had been deposited, and it was just put into the wrong account number. Yeah, so it was about $3,000.
So they put in the wrong account.
Yeah.
Whose account is the wrong account? Some person's wrong account? City of Jersey, where is it?
It was in the annual financial statement as an item to be corrected. It was a wrongly posted account.
The bags?
Yeah. There was one bag, a ledger for one bag that went missing, or put in the wrong place. But
Okay.
Not the, all right.
yeah, I'll get that for you for the
Okay,
council.
great.
And the last item, 10D, it's a resolution authorizing the use of reserve funds in the calendar year 2018 municipal budget for the operating expenses at the Mary McLeod Bethune Center. Any questions? Hearing none.
Anything on open space, 10E? No.
10E, okay.
The open space, setting the rate.
10E.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes. Because don't forget, because of the revalue, ratables went up so much. So our ratables went from 6.9 billion to 34 billion. So that's why the rate went so low, to bring in almost around the same amount of money.
So now, that's why last night I couldn't make a slip. So now we was roughly 6 billion, right? 6 billion to, how much is now? 34. So almost 6 times went up, right? So if we collect 0.002 per 100, that means we collected $20,000 per billion.
It's 1/5 of a penny.
Yeah, 1/5 of a penny, that's
Right,
what I'm saying.
right.
So when you calculate it, City of Jersey.
I calculated to the penny. I divided it into the exact ratables, and that's how I came up with this figure.
So open space fund, we collect almost $20,000 per 1 billion. So if it's 34 billion, 34 times 20,000, how much is it?
Well, that's why we lowered the rate. Last year, you collected a penny. Last year, the rate was 1 penny, right? This year, the rate's only 1/5 of a penny. That's why the rate was lower.
So we expect around $640,000.
Right, yes, 686, something like, yeah, it's right on the fact sheet.
Yeah, 640.
So we tried to keep the tax the same, around the same. So last year, the effect on the average property owner was $9.20. This year was $8.72. So I think we said we would always try to keep it around $10.
When you have the rebuild, we sent to tax rate 1.62, but I heard they going down to 1.4 is true, because that the rateable was increased. Is it true?
Yeah, I'm still working on, once I have the amendment done, probably by next week, we'll have the final. And I'm also using an estimated school number, an estimated county number. That rate, we're including the school and the county, so it won't be to the penny, but get close enough. That's it. You good?
Thank you. Okay, we've got Andrew Vischio. Andrew has 3A, 3B, and 3C, is that right?
Yep, that's right. Good evening, everyone. 3A is an ordinance converting Monitor Street to one-way northbound. to allow parking on both sides of the street. This is something that I'm excited to introduce. I've been working with Councilman Robinson on this for a few weeks now. Long story short, 3 large developments broke ground at the same intersection this spring, and the neighborhood's lost approximately 38 parking spaces, potentially more. So this would generate approximately 27 additional parking spaces, which won't offset it entirely, but should help considerably.
They're permanent changes, or is this only through construction?
These are permanent changes. 3B is an ordinance that converts Barrow to one-way northbound, again, to allow parking on both sides of the street. It's just a coincidence that it's doing roughly the same thing as the last one. And this is kind of supplementary to 3D, which is the ordinance expanding the pedestrian mall.
So, is there any way, Barrow, since it's coming north, right? Is there any way you can designate one side of the street for deliveries? You know, and the same thing on Jersey Avenue where the bank is, where they have those lines right before you get into the street, small street, that's the name of that street.
Maxwell Alley?
Through the alley? Is there
Maxwell
any way you can designate, I mean, I'm not sure if it says this, it's not a bus stop, but that area, but especially Barrow, because what I've noticed is some of the businesses are actually stopping on First Street to offload and come through the bank to go into the store. So if we can designate one side of Barrow, it's still going to be, accessible to, for traffic to go up north. But if we can designate that just one side and just put lines and say loading, offloading for thoughts.
Yeah, that's absolutely something that we could accomplish once Barrow becomes one way. That's actually one of the ideas that was raised last week. We had a small kind of community meeting with a lot of the owners or the merchants along Newark Avenue, and they raised that as an opportunity for loading. They raised, they suggested Columbus Drive, the north side of Columbus Drive, as another potential place for loading. So we're going to look at the entire area around Newark Avenue holistically, and then come up with a plan. And I suspect that, if not the entire length of Barrow, a portion of it will be designated for loading, as you suggested.
Other questions or comments about 3B specifically? Okay. Andrew's here too? Or do you...
We could, but this came out of the law department. I guess we can. Yeah, we can, if you want.
Might as well do that now.
Yeah.
The pedestrian plaza expansion, since we're on that topic, was it 3D?
Yeah, this ordinance just simply amends the areas that are covered by the pedestrian mall. None of the rules, the rules that govern the existing section also govern this new section. So just changing the zone of it.
So the downtown Councilman Solomon, is actually at a community meeting right now with Harsmas Cove
Talking
Association,
about this,
talking about this? Yeah.
Yeah, he knows.
Did he touch on deliveries inside of the pedestrian plaza? Or?
Yeah, it does. It does. So same rules apply as the initial space. Deliveries are allowed inside the pedestrian area, plaza during certain hours. The request is to keep a center travel lane open for emergency vehicles just in case something happens. And also, vehicles are not allowed to deliver during the hours that patronage from pedestrians is the highest, so afternoons and evenings.
It's on for 67-4D2A. It's like a time restriction for 15-minute deliveries. Like,
yeah, within the green street space. So we're not allowing people to leave a vehicle there all day long unless you get a permit from traffic and engineering. So if you need to, you can. It doesn't cost anything. You just have to let them know that it's going on.
What deliveries take place within 15 minutes.
This is a time, I don't know, I think we actually changed it to 20 or 30 minutes, but this was a time that we've been discussing it with the businesses, and so it's all gone through them. The downtown SID is supportive of everything that's in here.
Councilman Rivera, and then Ridley, and then Bogiano.
Back to my concern. Is there the pedestrian plaza, it's already sealed off by the bollards, correct? Is there any way, it's like one of my biggest pet peeves and I worry about it, is there any way we could put that gate that we have already on the first pedestrian plaza for here, because we still have very limited access to a fire truck going down?
Well, we've talked about this with public safety a bit, and there's sort of a compromise that we're trying to do here. So the one side of it is pedestrian safety. Leaving any sort of easy access on Jersey Avenue presents too big of an opportunity and a risk for somebody to drive any type of vehicle right through and into the area with a lot of pedestrians. So, but we've worked it out with the fire department and emergency vehicles that heading northbound on Barrow and making a left turn onto Newark is acceptable. There's an appropriate turning radius. There's enough space. If they need to get in, they're okay with that. Same with in the original space heading southbound on Manila, making a right turn onto Newark. That's the preferred route of entry for emergency vehicles. With the planters that we have now, we've also discussed with Chief McGill that if it comes to it and they need to get more vehicles in, which they said everything that we have is fine, they could just push the planters out of the way if they needed to.
That's actually, good to know. So for example, if engine 5 is coming, eastbound, and like God forbid if there's like a fire in the bank area. So what we're saying that we don't want them to go around and then come around Barrow to do that, right? We want them to come directly in.
Yeah.
So can we move that with the fire?
Yes, they can be moved with the fire truck. Yes, they can. But also think about if there's a fire in that area, engine 2 is coming from the south up Barrow. Engine 6 is coming down Manila. Yeah. So, but they're all coming from different directions. So they're, yeah, sure. I mean, it's a compromise you have to make for pedestrian safety. Structuring it the way we did. But yeah, those planters are not movable by regular vehicle, but fire trucks, they've told us that they can.
By a fire truck.
If needed. But also these are still temporary. So we have a plan to install crash-rated bollards that are retractable that we're still working through. So ideally down the road, there's you can run a truck into these bollards and it'll stop them, but then you can lower them with relative ease if a fire truck needs to get through, an ambulance needs to get through, that sort of thing. Tommy Curtis informed me that he was moving 3 more today, but just confirm with me how many were there, and we'll just make sure that they're enough in place.
I know it's all about downtown, but please stay out of Ward C.
It was not intentional to take them from Ward C. I apologize for that, but they're on my back.
So, because of that, we closed, make a pedestrian plaza with a big flower pot. If any case of fire in those areas, because that the police, the fire trucks response time delayed, so what happened? What kind of city got the responsible for that? I mean, the liability issue.
I think any answer I would give there would be entirely speculative. I think, these are it would be dependent on any number of factors, and I can't really, project what that would be.
If that was my house car, and it was a 5-minute delay, a 3-minute delay, and somebody got killed, I'm suing the city.
So what happened, that's why I want to know, we continue expand and the creative pedestrian plaza is okay, because that's what the people are looking for, but also we blocked actually street, not just called the pedestrian plaza, we blocked the street with a big flower pot, you know what I'm saying? When the response is delayed because of part for the fire truck, then who is responsible for that?
Well, everything has been run through and has been cleared with the fire department. So they're, trusting, their assessment and their evaluation of the circumstances, their ability to move things out of the way in expeditious way. And that also, for everything you would have there as part of a pedestrian plaza, you offset with, standard vehicular traffic that's not there, that's not blocking. So that is somewhat of a trade-off there.
Another question, was there a traffic survey done before?
Yes.
The street was illegally closed for the last 3 weeks?
There was a traffic study done
Okay.
before the street was.
Then how come the
Yes.
traffic was backed up from there almost to Dickinson Hill?
There were
People trying to get out of the
there were a number of emergency MUA closures in the vicinity of the pedestrian plaza that made, admittedly, that first week extremely challenging in terms of traffic.
Jersey was closed, Barrow was closed, part of Marin was closed, part of Erie was closed. There were a lot of just other unrelated closures.
And to be clear, and I don't want to come off as defensive, but a lot of these permits occurred, a lot of this work occurred without permits from my office.
Day, and nothing is done about it, all these illegal street closings. Like today, they closed Baldwin Avenue, Good Pond, I called Monty up, there's no permits to close it. Work's done without permits.
Right, that's what you just said, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a few different situations. It's the MUA does emergency work without notifying us because it's being deemed an emergency. That's understandable. There are other situations where private contractors are doing work that they don't come through our office for permits, and in those situations, very frequently the the police officers will issue them citations and then tell them to come to us to apply for the permits correctly. But sometimes that does occur.
What's the penalty? I'm sorry, what's the penalty for that?
I don't know the exact dollar amount.
Can we find out the penalty?
I think it's considerable.
Yeah, you gotta hit them hard.
I think it's extremely considerable.
It's up to the limit that we said. In the general provisions, I think it's $2,000.
Putting in new sewer lines and water lines is not an emergency. They should contact Monty Zucker or Joe Cooner or you.
Why can't
They should get permission.
Right, that's not, that you should know.
Putting in new lines, not
Can you send me some details?
But even if it is an emergency, there should still be a call to police and fire to let them know that these streets are gonna be blocked.
So if they don't inform you, then what can we do with MUA?
The person who used to enforce this, the cop.
Could
retired,
he tell me,
died.
could he tell me?
I'm telling you, he died. The guy that was enforcing it, they haven't replaced him.
No, I want to hear what Andrew said, because we want to help make his job easy. That's why I'm asking him, what can we, okay?
So since the all those closures happened, we are now getting weekly updates from the specific contractor that was causing most of those closures, and so it's just better coordination between us and the MUA.
Let us know.
Yes.
So back to the pedestrian plaza specifically. So the trial period would be over once we pass this, and it would be official.
The executive order was 60 days. It would expire July 20th. Assuming this passes first reading and second reading and a 20-day statutory waiting period, it would be implemented on the 17th of July. So that's the reason why it's being introduced now, because the timing works out. Look, if there are changes need to be made or the council decides they want to go a different way, I mean, at least we have this in place, so.
Now, is it possible to move the barricade a little closer to Jersey? Because like somebody like me who's been here a long time, and if I don't know that's blocked, like you don't see it when you're coming.
No, you don't.
Sure. And that's the beauty of using planters. We can move, we can just, I can go out tomorrow and move them. But it's funny you say that, because we've had requests to move them. We've had requests to move them farther from the street so we can add a little loading zone.
Minimize your side conversations.
Yeah, because I did see a truck there, and my initial reaction was, I thought the street was closed. So when the truck is there, it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just go around the truck, and then you go into these places.
Yeah.
So that's one of the requests of business owners to have.
So to add more loading area, and to be fair, the loading zones are not just for businesses, it's for patrons of restaurants, it's for residents, if they need to stop and drop stuff off, or if there's a handicapped patron for something, some business, it's okay to stop in any of these areas that we've been describing as well.
So for 60 days, it's been closed. You've been conducting studies and other monitoring of the situation.
Yeah.
And do you have a report on that and complete, or something you could share with us?
We did a pre-closure study, and we'll do one afterwards, or in.
We can see the pre-closure study, and then I also need a fact sheet on this. Both.
Oh, yeah, that's,
Can get a fact sheet.
okay, get that. Okay.
Any other questions? And I just ask that you circle up with the councilman for downtown, because he does have meetings.
Yeah, he's talking about this at
I
the
know.
downtown meeting, so, yeah. But he's aware of this.
Okay, anyone else? Nothing?
The last item is 3C, which is an ordinance that designates 32 new handicap reserved parking spaces. Since the last ordinance where we designated parking spaces, we've removed 59 spaces. So there's still a net reduction from the last one.
Spaces are they because maybe, people.
It's a few different things. Yeah. So a few people have passed away. People.
Communicates a monthly report of all people who have passed away in Jersey City, and Patricia Blake Logan scrubs that against the list of disabled parking spaces and has them removed.
That should be the only reason that they move.
People move, and then we also, not as frequently as those options, but we do receive complaints from neighbors about misuse of the parking spaces, and then in those situations, we'll send a letter notifying them that the way that they're using it is not proper, and there are a few that are removed due to that, but those are the three main categories.
With that blue line, because people still won't park there thinking it's illegal.
Yeah, we actually haven't been painting the lines or the curbs for at least 5 years. Old ones. Understood. No. The channels staying up is something that we need to improve on.
Sign on it.
One more question. So the handicap personnel that has the handicap space, they should have decals for their cars, correct? On their car and handicap?
Correct. No, on their car. So the placard that hangs from the rear view mirror, that's separate. That's state. On ours, we have a sort of like a bumper sticker type thing with a number unique to their Jersey City space. So that number's on the back of their car as well as the signs that are on the street.
So my question is there any way that we could really enforce, for example, the parking authority, or I'm not sure the Jersey Police Department, but there are people that are notorious for parking their son's car, their daughter's car there.
We receive those.
And then, they have an extra space for them. And so is there a way we can like for example, tow, no ticket, or ticket and tow, when you see something like that? Or increase the fare? $100 ticket.
Yeah, it's something we can discuss with the parking enforcement director. I'm not entirely sure how we would go about doing it, but.
Because the reason why I say that, in Councilman Yoon's ward, they are notorious for doing that.
Yeah.
And people that don't park in their spot. They park in the spot behind it, and they get
They
call
save it.
from their husband, and they pull up. The husband pulls into it, they're holding a spot all day.
It's a very bad hike. Not only hike, I think all over the place.
I don't think it's unique to any one part of the city.
Of course.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions on that? Hearing none?
Thank you.
Rezo, well, we have Rezo's closing streets, do we want to?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we have 10, O, and P, which are just routine street closures.
Yeah, that's for the Indian Independence Day celebration on August 11,
Repeat event.
and Freedom Parade and Festival on September 9.
I believe that's a new event near Arlington Park on a Sunday.
The Indian is new, isn't it?
The Indian Day one's new.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It used to be New Academy.
This is a
Okay,
different-
repeat event, new location.
No, this is a different
It's a different
group
group.
altogether.
Is it different
Same,
group?
yeah, different group, same day as a
Oh,
different.
you might have made a typo in our fact sheet then.
So I would just suggest reserving, I know Councilman Solomon looks at these things.
Yeah.
He's not here, just to get his input on that, make sure he's okay. And that's it. Thank you.
No problem, sir.
Mark, you're up. Mark has 10Z. Where do you want to start?
His first time and he gets burned by being here until 8:33.
I don't think this is my first time.
Or-
It's good.
You have first reading ordinances for the titles?
3F.
Pulowski comes on Wednesday night to explain all of these to him.
Sure, I'm happy to make myself available. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any particular questions on the titles that are being added. For the most part, again, we're trying to do our best to work with the departments in giving, proper classifications and titles to people. Most of these are for current employees that are moving into new roles here in the city. Are there any particular questions on it? 3F.
Question.
Yes.
What is a chief parking enforcement officer? Is that same as a deputy director?
No. So, essentially, for parking enforcement, there's really 3 classifications. There's the parking enforcement officer, which is, the guys you see on the street, the supervising parking enforcement officer, and then there's another title in civil service that is the chief parking enforcement officer. That is a management title. The supervisory title is obviously a supervisory title. What we've been trying to work with Mary on is sort of trying to bring more people to support her in the management role, because she's really the sole management person over there, and considering the size of her operations and what she has to do, we really think it's best for her to get other people in a role where they can support her in the management function that she carries out in that division. So we're adding the title to the city code so that we can start using the title of Chief Parking Enforcement Officer, because we have not used it as of yet. So these are internal promotions, by the way, of people who are coming. Internal promotions, yes, correct.
Yeah, why are you proposing this?
I can't hear you.
Why isn't the parking authority proposing?
Well, we add all the titles to the city code. So, I mean, I guess it's fair to ask Mary too, but whenever there's a new title being added, we are the ones who add it to the city code.
It's just a title.
Right.
It's adding the civil service title.
We've made title changes, and they've come from the departments or the department director.
No, this has always been the same.
It's always been the same.
You can check this. It's always initiated by HR.
Right, the department will initiate the title change internally as an HR transaction, but the addition to the city code is always done through our office. If that makes sense. Legal analyst is actually someone who is moving into a new position, that is an attorney that's moving into a new position in administration. That title requires you to have a law degree. So that's a new addition. No, I'm sorry. It's a current employee who's moving into a new position in the city. So it's not a new hire.
No, it's a new position in compliance.
Correct, exactly.
Okay, that's good. We need the positions in abatement compliance. Yeah, I guess that's.
That we're good now.
Okay, other questions on 3F?
No. Okay. Thank you.
10Q. 10Q. Annual passes for City of Jersey City employees so as to promote employee wellness and engagement, highlight alternate transportation methods, and reduce vehicle emissions and car traffic within the City of Jersey City.
Yeah.
Councilman?
So we're gonna withdraw this. There's some paperwork related to contracting that the vendor has not provided. So we're just waiting for that to come in, and we're not going to put this on without that legally required information.
Councilman Rivera had a comment.
Oh, okay. Well, look, you can vote on it now. It means nothing. What's that? We're going to withdraw. We can discuss it now if you want, and then it'll just come on at the next meeting. Yeah.
City by $32,400 a year, based on how many employees going to be enrolled at the
That's the
program.
maximum number that we're allowing, which is, I think, 270 employees. Typically, well, you can, sorry, your thing.
I mean, ultimately, it's an annual pass that we're basically granting to the employees to kind of do a couple of things, right? I mean, one is I think there's definitely stuff that the BA can talk on in terms of sustainability and sort of things like that. But for us on the HR side, this is about two things. One is employee wellness. We spend $65 million a year in medical benefits, and one of the big issues that we're trying to push in health benefits now is focusing on employee wellness, because we really don't do a lot of concentrated effort in that area. So this is something that we thought would be a great thing to kind of spur our employees to get active in their daily lives. And the second thing for us is about recruiting and retention, right? So reality is in the next 4 years, about 25% of our workforce is going to be retirement eligible. And it's incumbent on, I think, the city and particularly in HR for us to think about what can we do to attract the next generation of public worker to the city. And this benefit, on balance, is incredibly cheap when you look at sort of per hour worked. We're spending 6 cents per hour worked for this employee benefit. Normally, most benefits, I mean, medical, dental, insurance, I mean, cost quite a bit of money for the employer to pay. So when you look at, I think, the ability of this to sort of get some attention to people who maybe are just looking in public service and like, oh, this is an interesting benefit, but also the people who are here currently who live in the city, who might use this to get around the city and ultimately, again, engage in more wellness activities, which help us get healthier as a workforce. So, yeah.
Actually, I asked Brian, as a business administrator, we have employees wellness programs. So after we adopt that program, what kind of actually we save the insurance premium itself? You say you're supposed to give some data.
Yeah.
So how much we save there? After the employee wellness program, we adopt the program. So you just mentioned we spend $65 million.
Yep.
After adopt, how much premium we save there? You just keep saying yes, it's successful, blah, blah, blah. But give me some data, we can understand.
I can give you data on essentially what
So
the
what
health
is the
impact
premiums
of.
down? How many $1 million we saved through this program?
That number I can't give you. Through what program? The employee wellness program?
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing.
Listen to me.
I'm listening.
Any program you can bring up to this city hall, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that that program, how much we can save the taxpayers a dollar.
I agree.
That's what I look at it. So last council meeting, I asked Brian Platt, we have an employee wellness program we adopted for 3-4 years. So how much we able to save that our employee insurance, health insurance premium? I know that some they save, Newark they save several $1 million. But we want to know how much the city of Jersey saved that.
Well, I mean, I can't speak to Newark's program or how long it's been in effect, but the one thing I can speak to when it comes to employee wellness is it's a long-term thing, right? So it's not something that you see in 1 year or 2 years or even 3 years. You see like, okay, all of a sudden now you're saving $10 million on your health benefits. So I can give you the data on the health impacts that the wellness program has had on the workforce, but I'm just going to be honest with you and say I think it takes time to see the effects of an employee wellness program. Right. Yeah.
They adopt the employee wellness the program. What kind of negotiation power we have the insurance company lower the premium? Do there be any user leverage with this one to lower our premium?
Okay,
what
so
can after the city administration do that?
So your question is what ability do we have to require, let's say, our brokers or whoever to work with us to show the money that we're saving? Yeah.
Say that, listen, city of Jersey spend $200,000 employee wellness program. So because of that, our employee over the long term gonna be more healthier. So then we should adjust some kind of premium, based on our effort. Something what we have that done.
I mean, so let me say I agree with you. I think that our wellness program does need to be better. There needs to be more metrics associated with showing the performance of it. And quite honestly, I think we've not really been where we should be. I have been working with the BA on several new things that we're going to be working on to bring more data and really more power into our employee wellness program. Because just being honest, I think we were very, I think, minimal in the efforts that we were doing.
We spent 2,400. It's a great package to give to contract with a city bike. So you didn't tell me that based on how many employees enrolled. You didn't say that.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. How much? How many city employees?
Are you asking the cap, or are you asking how many people have currently enrolled?
So when we make contract with a city bike, $324,000, based on maximum how many city employees will, you know, so we gotta tell that. So when you see that the contract, instead we say $324,000 contract, we say that, we should say maximum 32,400 is a more proper way to write on the ordinance. So if we say 32,400 based on 200 city employees, but only 20 employees involved at the writing, but we're gonna pay 20 employees for 32,400 annual fee, it's not fair.
So let me clarify, we only pay per employee that signs up, right? So, yeah, correct.
And the ordinance, we should say that.
Yeah.
We're gonna make contract with the city bike, 32,400, instead we say that, we're gonna spend maximum 32,400. You understand?
Right. I think.
So you're asking for a revision in the
resolution? You say, let's put it this way. We're gonna give a city bike 32,400 based on, I don't know how many. You guys tell me that.
270 employees.
Okay, how much? How many?
270.
270, okay, employee. So now, we're gonna pay city bike 32,400, assuming what we plan to, at least 270 city employees enrolled at the program. But unfortunately, only 100 city employees enrolled in the program. Then we waste our dollars. So
Yeah,
then,
so let me-
the way you say, not 6 cents per hour.
Right.
So do me a favor. You gotta go back to contract again, look at the contract.
Well, this was drawn anyway, so we.
Oh, you withdraw it, but
Yeah,
so,
it is, but
fix it.
just to clarify, it is a cap of $32,400. So if there are less than 270 employees that sign up, we don't. Right, exactly. It's a not to exceed contract. So
Thank you very much. Not exist, so if we only 100, based on 100, we have to reduce that pay.
So saying, when this comes back to the council to change some of the language.
Yes.
It clarifies that it's based on the per.
You gotta tell that the unit price.
Yes.
You gotta tell that. Thank you very much, Robert. Uniform, each employee enrolled, so much it costs, but not exceed $324,000. That's where you should be right on the contract, okay? Okay, thank you. Oh dear.
It was before my time.
Yeah.
When?
Was it?
2014?
Wait, which contract?
I don't know.
Not this one.
31st of June 1st.
Of what year? Yeah, it was recent. It's not a.
Yeah.
31st or June 1st?
It's not a recent.
Law department, number one. Number two, this is just your annual membership fee, right?
Yeah, and we are not paying any additional fees associated with the membership. So if there's an overage time or another issue with the bike, the rider pays, the employee pays it. We don't pay anything this year.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah, correct. That's correct.
But now, add to one, Jersey City Central Avenue, we have a city employees, the building. But unfortunately, there were no city bike station near that the city employee office. So when we give the 32,400 contract, they must have to provide extra station near, not the next to, near city office building, so people can use that, okay?
So we're already working on returning the station back to the City Hall Annex at the hub, which was removed, and we can actually, we'll ask them to move a station back to Central Avenue as well.
Station anywhere you want.
You're welcome.
Like you said, moving it back to the annex, now that we have this
Yeah.
program. What about, is there going to be push to move it back to Princeton, near the Danford Avenue light rail? since DPW is in that area?
Yeah, I guess these are both things we can bring back. Yeah, we're still discussing some of those movements of stations, so.
Is there, I mean, I guess this wouldn't necessarily be you guys' decision, is there any way to work with New Jersey Transit to have it like in that light rail area? Like
On the light rail part, yeah.
sidewalk as opposed to in the.
Yeah, we just need approval from NJ Transit if they're okay with it. There's engineers have to go through and approve everything either way, so.
So I ask you three things. One, make sure the correct ordinance not exceed. Second, make sure they provide a station near their office building. Third, actually, Councilman Rich was mentioned to that. Their station is so big and wide, they take a lot of parking space in summer. So do they have any small size of station they can provide?
Right.
And also, if we had another one, because the city bike make based on their business is a profit organization, you know what I'm saying? So if some area, if not make money, actually World App happen, they remove the station out. They should keep the station in their place too, as a long-term plan. You know what I'm saying? So if we take it out, the people who work the World App, city employee, cannot even want to use that, they're not able to use it. Okay, so we gotta have to make fair shares at the station location, and the size have to, because urban have to be adjusted a little bit, and near the city building, and the third, and the amount, okay?
Sure.
After that, I got no question.
Okay.
Thank you.
No other questions? Thank you, Mark. You have one more? Which one?
Z17.
Oh, yeah, you do. Z17.
No. As far as I know. No, this needs to go forward.
Arian, formerly known as Rammonson Public Sector LLC, to provide for accounts payable module, training and maintenance for the Human Resources Information System pursuant to the applicable statute. This is a non-bid item.
Okay, so ultimately, I think we've shared with the council already that we're working on implementing the first upgrade to our current HR and payroll system in 25 years. This is an addition that we needed to make to the package that we already purchased. And the reason why we're making this addition is because the accounts payable module essentially allows us to provide summary information from the payroll system that then that can be transferred to accounts payable for them to issue sort of summary funds to, like the state of New Jersey, various entities that we issue summary funds to. We weren't sure if we were going to need it, but it's sort of as we were going through the implementation process, it became clear that we were going to need it just to be able to successfully implement the full program. We did try to go out and seek other potential bidders for the delivery of this service. The problem is it's a little bit anomalous to get just this module. Normally you get the new HR and payroll system and the accounts payable module at the same time. Unfortunately, in this case, we have just the accounts payable module, and this is the company that we're currently using to provide the new software. So at this point, it only made sense to go with them. We did work with purchasing on this. The purchasing agent does agree that it is a permissible exception to the bid process in light of the fact that it is proprietary software. So that's what it is.
So I know you are happy with the program.
Yes.
Good luck.
Thank you. It's good.
We are the boss.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Last is Steve Miller. Steve has 10Z, 14, 15, and 16. Steve, I just keep you to the last because you're always staying till the end anyway, so. But if you want to move up, you just have to let me know so that.
Early next meeting.
Okay. 10C 14.
14, 15, 16. All
right.
To Northeast Auto and Truck Parts for the purchase of heavy vehicles under state contract, parts for heavy vehicles under state contract for DPW Automotive Services.
We had the same company previously for the light auto parts. This is the heavy one under state contract. This deals with parts for the fire engines mostly. That's why you'll see that we spent about $600,000 last year, and the contract amount is up to $700,000.
Okay, Z15. Ascape Landscape and Construction Corp. for the maintenance of irrigation systems at numerous city-owned facilities for DPW, Division of Park Maintenance.
This is the first option on the contract that was bid last year. This was the only bidder, and basically it's just continuing.
Okay, Z16. An open-end contract with Nelson Westerberg for providing moving services.
All right, this is our moving company contract. Again, this is the renewal year for the option.
This is unit pricing, correct?
Yes, this is an hourly rate as we use it. This year we're using them a lot because we're moving the health department and the housing economic development department, so we're going to be spending a lot of money this year on this moving company contract. Other years, if we have less things to move, they don't spend as much. So.
What's that? Nothing? No, nothing? Okay. Hearing no questions? I think we are done unless, Mr. Metro, no? All right.
Move to the new building now? Move into the new building?
We're moving at the end of this month. That's the last.
Public work. DPW, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, Council President, can I ask a very simple and important questions I have to Steve Miller? City of Jersey, they removed the newspaper distribution box from the street. So now I'd like to know what actually reason that's the yeah. Then BA have to be answered. Yeah.
That was the BA.
What's the question?
Yeah,
I can help you.
just simple. What was the reason remove that? And I'd like to hear the first reason. If their reason is really to have to remove all the boxes from the outside, as you know, Council President, the City of Jersey has a lot of newcomers, and especially Language barrier community, we have that. So those kind of paper very essence to certain community in Jersey City. You know, that's the way they can read that there's some information, communicating, other things, so on. So now, if the way Mayor said, if the ISO issue, then City of Jersey can require, law department can send a letter to the require certain maintenance required. But instead of maintenance, I'm sorry?
I believe that's the administration. So I got the letter just like everyone else in the council from Newsday. And it's my understanding that it's the administration's intention to put forward an ordinance that would require certain standards of maintenance for these things, as well as to register their boxes so that we can track them and be able to make sure that they're maintained in the proper conditions, which I think is a good thing.
What is it, the box in the DPW? They have to come out and pick it up?
What's that?
The box, the distribution newspaper box, they're all DPW, right?
Most of them are abandoned.
No, they were picked up. The vendor picked them up. They're not. Yeah, the company came and picked them up. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're not there. But we talked about a permit.
Corporation Council?
From the top.
So you guys are working on some kind of permit for processing, right?
We've begun work on a proposed ordinance, yes.
Okay, so we can see the next, right?
That's the plan, right?
Okay.
Is it really? Next council meeting, ready? That's 2 weeks.
At least the first reading, right?
I don't want to see me.
You got it. I'm still waiting on my alcohol at the liquor sales at Sunday brunch, so.
Right.
Not sure where that is, but,
They said they quick turned
selling,
around, so I said, I'm going.
cocktails or,
You asked Jeremy for that. You asked Jeremy for that, you didn't ask.
They said they fast and turned.
All right, from the top, council members. If we start from the top, I'll get you to the bottom real quick. 3G, we're adding 2 additional part-time municipal judge positions. The nighttime sessions require them.
who's gonna?
The nighttime sessions, let the corporation council speak through it. The new part-time judge.
Yes. But there's been a backlog with cases being heard at the municipal court, particularly more so now that with the increased enforcement of parking. The creation of the 2 part-time municipal judges would allow the court to operate 2 additional courtrooms 5 nights a week, or potentially 4 nights a week, that would allow for the elimination of backlog.
That are otherwise empty in the evening.
Correct.
So we actually, 2014, we increased the manpower at the evening court and still was not enough?
Correct. Well, you can only do so much. If you don't have judges, you can only move so many cases.
Yes, but we actually hire more judges, increase the judge numbers actually, evening tours, actually not evening tour, evening court.
I mean, I can look and see how that's.
You remember that, right?
I don't recall.
The problem is that a lot of people cannot appeal the court in the daytime.
Sure.
So a lot of people after work, they show up at evening time.
And that's
but-
why we're
Yeah, but that time, that's why we increase the manpower, that evening, court. So I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, 'cause it was 7, then we increased it to 9, now it's 11.
3H is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 254, property maintenance, to require mortgagees to register foreclosures and maintain the properties foreclosed upon in a manner consistent with the provisions of Chapter 254, and to amending and supplementing Chapter 160, fees and charges, to add a foreclosure registration fee.
So this is an amended version of what's on second reading.
yeah,
It amends it to include semi-annual registration, increasing the amount, making it every 6 months essentially, and then also increasing the amount of revenue that the city will ultimately get. After further discussion, it was determined that there was a need for more inspectors and so forth to be able to do this. At first, we talked about doing this in partnership with the county, and instead it's been determined that we can, or the administration believes we can do this in-house, maintain the database as well as we have the inspectors to do this, and so this will help buttress and strengthen our enforcement and inspection capabilities around that, so.
So just might make sure that, I think last councilman, I bring up the issues that, page 3, E, like Edward, the foreclosure mortgage shall notify the division of this designated agent to within 15 days of any change in the registration information by filling out amend the registration form. This one, if violating that one, if they're not registered in 15 days, they're going to be fine can be $2,000. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
It's in G, Michael.
Yes.
G, right? Okay. All right.
Okay. I just want to put on for the record, just to the business administrator, we talked about the idea that we're maintaining this in-house, and so to making sure that someone is designated internally or unit for the database registration, that information is, and I assume it's going to be an HEDC, but just to put it on the record, okay?
3I is an ordinance authorizing the city to execute an amendment to a lease agreement with 30 Montgomery Partners for approximately 11,400 square feet of space at 30 Montgomery Street for a term of 1 year. This was ably renegotiated down by Mr. John McKinney.
But those, well, who's going to be staying 30 Montgomery Street?
Who's remaining?
Who's in?
So the offices that are going into the second phase of City Hall Annex are going to be staying behind. It was tenant landlord. I forget who it was. Is it in here?
We expect,
Yeah.
We expect, because the highest rent in the city office is a 30 Montgomery Street. So we expect the 30 Montgomery to move first to the new city annex, so we can save big money. Actually, we can able to save, how much was it? Almost $1 million, right? It's $1 million a year, so that's why we expect 30 Montgomery to move first. But now, other department move in, so highest rent, the lowest rent department move to the city annex, but the highest pay rent space still there. To me, doesn't make any sense. So now explain to me why.
Much of 30 Montgomery Street has moved or already moved to the City Hall Annex, 1 Jackson Square. This was a decision that was made sort of years ago before I arrived here. I agree. We're trying to move them as quickly as possible. It just turns out now that the space is not fitting everybody. So the second building is going to... Yeah, I thought it was in here.
Tenant landlord, community development, and housing code.
Tenant landlord, community development, and housing code. Those are the offices that, so the 14th floor of 30 Montgomery, all those offices, it's much higher rent, I think it's Class A floor. They are all moving. The 4th floor, zoning's moved over. Yeah, half of the 4th floor is moved over, zoning and construction code, and then tenant landlord, community development, and what was the other one? Housing code. Yeah. So those are the remaining ones.
So you're looking at one more year?
Yeah, we hope that the move is completed so they're moving into a building that's being renovated, not built from scratch. So those offices should be done in hopefully a year or less. The 342 Martin Luther King Drive is a building that these remaining offices are moving into. It's a building that exists. We're just renovating it, not building it from scratch. That was, I can get you the information. It was discussed when we were talking about one of the other ordinances and lease agreements.
This place, 30 Montgomery Street, because actually 30 Montgomery Street, after we changed the lease, they actually raised almost 80% the rent.
They certainly
increase, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not feel comfortable that, 30 Montgomery, the way they treat the city of Jersey, but now, long story make short, so we're gonna stay maximum like 1 year, right?
Maximum of 1
Maximum
year.
1 year,
Yeah,
right?
we're out. They'll be in your office on Central Avenue after a year.
And if we're hypothetically, if we're out in 6 months, just making that...
Yeah, we're aiming for 6 to 8 months. We have a window now of a year. Hopefully it'll be well before that year.
Are we obligated to rent for the remainder of the year, or is it, or can we cancel without, what's our
I
cancellation?
can't remember the final language that was put in here because it's gone back and forth a bunch.
Are we obligated? Excuse me.
To the law,
Are we obligated?
if we cancel this,
The rest of the year, if we move out in less than 6 months?
I think John indicated we can have an escape.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it was 60 days, but
No, July 31, 2019. So. Yes, but they say that landlord tenant acknowledge that they agree that tenant shall have no right option to extend, otherwise renew term business or blah blah blah. Okay, unless a sooner terminate inclusive with the terms of. So look at page 2, lease agreement for extension of term.
Right.
So we are term study August 1st, 2018, ending July 31st, 2019, unless sooner terminate in accordance with the terms of the lease. I don't know what kind of terms of lease.
Right.
Yeah, we need to see the terms of the lease.
Yeah, it wasn't in there.
What is the terms of lease?
It wasn't there.
You read the original lease?
I mean, I read the lease that was on there.
Right, so it
Does it
says,
say anything about if you move out before the end of the lease that you still out eligible? I mean, we did see a late payment in here.
Right.
For last year, the 20,600.
Council members, you all received at the beginning of the meeting a Fourth Amendment to the lease. You did. I gave it to you as a loose item.
yeah, it's,
3I, Fourth Amendment to the lease. John was working on it all day.
So you'll see in that Fourth Amendment, Councilman Robinson, that we've negotiated down the late charges to $10,000 instead of the 20-something thousand dollars.
How is it that we work from the beginning? I mean, it says January, February, and March of 17.
Yeah, these are late payments that occurred before I arrived, and we're still investigating exactly why that happened. It shouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Well, it's correct.
Who owns the building?
It's the company name is, I think it's 30 Montgomery. Yeah. And John McKinney's been communicating with somebody who has an office in Connecticut or something like that, so we're not really sure exactly who that.
So, Caucus and Council, we just want to know if only terminate, make sure we have no penalty and we have no response for the rest of the months of the rent. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some minor, but I'll pull the lease and I'll find out what exactly.
Yes, please, okay. You say that probably going to stay maximum 6 months, then we don't want to pay.
Yeah, it could be more.
Yes, but
Hopefully 6 to 8 months.
yes, 6
Right, moving forward. Next thing we have on our agenda, and Councilman Yun, you have to be silent on this one. It's the 2018-19 Central Avenue SID Special Improvement District Budget and Assessment Roll. You'll be abstaining. Any question on second reading ordinances? Want to talk about Katin anymore?
No. Don't even joke. Don't even joke about it. It's like, we're not
Okay,
talking more about it.
yeah.
The crowd is not here, it would be inappropriate for us to. Okay.
All right, Rich.
Let's, the other items on second reading, any specific questions? We have the freelance workers in 4A, amendments to the Morgan Grove Marin redevelopment plan. MGM plan, 4C is, what is this? The obscenity.
Everyone has their opinion?
Yeah. And James is not here.
We're
so-
creating 2 titles in 4D. 4E, we're amending the traffic code. F, we spoke about ad nauseum. G is amending the property maintenance code, requiring the registration, and that goes back to the first reading ordinance that we'll be dealing with.
Wait, so this is going to be voted down?
Yes.
This will be replaced by the new first reading?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to euthanize the second reading and give birth to the first. H is temporarily repealing and reverting back to the previous version of Chapter 319 of the Municipal Code, towers and towing, until the effective date of the new contracts for impound services can be procured. I is an ordinance amending the fees for Chapter 254 vacant properties. Resolutions, there are a few that we did not touch on, but
Councilor Robinson?
City expenditure approval, daily report, detail report.
Yes, sir.
I don't see a page here, but we have a $20,000 HEDC director's office for an attorney.
Which page number?
14. Mike,
No, that's these developments.
That's the person that's been defending.
The audit.
against HUD. So-
Yeah.
And this is what, 20,000, when is that for a month, or is that for a quarter, or?
Can tell you offhand.
I don't know, if we could pull the resolution and find out what percentage of the contract that is. But he's been,
It's not to exceed 75,000.
okay, good.
Pull a voucher on that and just see how much what kind of services rendered?
Sorry? How much have we paid to date? I don't have that figure. I'll get it.
It's easy enough for us to provide you copies, we'll get it for you. 10A, authorizing an emergency temporary appropriation. B through E, we spoke about with Donna. F and G are the Central Avenue Special Improvement District budget, and G is the assessment role of the Central Avenue Special Improvement District. H is authorizing the settlement of the lawsuit of Diane Jennings versus the City of Jersey City. I is authorizing the City of Jersey City to enter into polling place agreements with the Hudson County Board of Elections. This I find incredible, a resolution celebrating Mary Gibson on the occasion of her 109th birthday.
We already, she got the award yesterday. She's already got it.
Does she live in your ward?
Yeah, she's the best.
Okay.
K is a resolution commemorating the 120th anniversary of the Philippine independence on the occasion of the annual Jersey Filipino flag raising ceremony. L, recognizing and thanking Valerie Piccarello for her service to the City of Jersey City on the occasion of her retirement. A resolution congratulating Soaring Heights Charter School on being named the best public elementary school in Hudson County.
And are we moving that up on the agenda to get the kids out early?
Okay, we'll do whatever we have to do in one single compound motion. And a resolution recognizing and thanking Justina Johnson for her service to the City of Jersey City on the occasion of her retirement. O and P we dealt with. Q we spoke more about than any other item on the agenda that has been withdrawn. R through U was spoken about. V is a Uniform Shared Service Consolidation Act agreement permitting that, we talked about that.
We didn't talk about this.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, this is, I'm sorry, I thought about.
For fuel for housing authority vehicles.
Fuel.
Yeah, so they get a discount because they don't have to pay sales tax, and we're charging them an administrative fee, so we're gonna make a small piece of revenue from them using our facilities.
Okay.
What's that?
Where's the revenue going?
General fund. It's not specific to anything.
W, ratifying the submission of a grant application authorizing the acceptance of a Hudson County Open Space Fund grant for Riverview Fisk Park renovation. Y through Z were done. Z1, authorizing the city to apply and accept grant funds from the Generous Target Corporation for August 7th National Night Out. Z2, we did. Z3 is an agreement with Exchange Place Special Improvement District for the provision of funds towards the procurement of carnival rides during the Freedom and Fireworks celebration on July 4th near Exchange Place. Z4.
Questions, hold on.
For Z3, is this only for July 4th? Is it just for one day?
July 4th.
And it's gonna be free rides, or?
I wish Christine was speaking.
We will have to find that out when,
Yes, they were free rides?
Yeah, I mean, they're paying for the carnival equipment, correct? The Special
Correct.
Improvement District, and we're gonna, I guess, still rent rides out.
yeah, I believe it's free, but we have to verify.
I think I'm sure Ms. Goodman can answer that. So.
And it's only one day, only July 4th.
There's no fee.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no fee, I don't know.
Yeah, just the one day.
How are you gonna have something, July 4th celebration with fireworks at the foot of Exchange Place, when you have thousands upon thousands of people coming?
Last year, they had it in the parking lot.
Around the corner, right?
Yeah.
Last year, they had it in the parking lot area, designated area for, food trucks in another area. They have it like in the parking lot.
Councilman,
It's
you're
not
right,
like-
Z3.
Thank you.
Z4 through Z9 were done, as were Z10 and 11. 12 is authorizing the payment submitted by JSQ Capital for the city's use of parking spaces at 733, 735 Newark Avenue. Z13, authorizing the city to
Sorry,
renew
Bob,
its...
So claim submitted, I think that's the term I was looking for in our closed session. That's for like services already rendered, right?
That's for Z12.
Z12, yeah.
We're talking about Z12.
This is for services already rendered, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I couldn't. Folks, can I just get... Yeah, no, I'm saying, we were talking in today's closed session about the contract and the payment of services. So I'm not getting into great detail because it was a closed session, but using a claim submitted as a resolution for that.
Well, that wasn't what I was talking about when I said there might be a need for another closed session regarding one of the contracts.
No, I'm saying we would do a resolution for a claim submitted, payment of a claim submitted by that lawyer, that attorney, that we talked about in closed session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not on the agenda for this.
I know it's not, I'm saying, we were talking,
We
okay.
generally do like a ratification if
Yeah.
the,
I'm saying as opposed to approving a new contract,
do a ratification, okay.
doing a claim submitted, because it
Okay.
reflects the idea that services were already rendered,
Okay, I see what
as
you're
opposed to us doing a new contract for them.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that we're settling up, like, so people
Got it,
know
I
that
understand what you're saying
the
now.
council isn't just shirking its duties here, and that,
Understood.
Z13, we're renewing our partnership with Mavani Inc. Manavi to provide training to the Jersey City Police Department. We did 14 through 17. 18 is authorizing the award of a contract to Preferred Meals to provide 2018 summer food service program for the Department of Recreation. Z19, ratifying and amending the renewal of a professional services agreement with Cal Cagney and Konefsky to represent the city of Jersey City in the matter. Mayor Stephen Fulop and David Lerner, and in the matter of David Lerner and Fernando Picariello versus the city of Jersey City. C20, authorizing an agreement with the law office of Aperuzes, McDermott, Mastro, and Murphy for general legal services related to employment organization practices. Z21, ratifying and reauthorizing a professional services agreement with the law firm of Light, DePalma, Greenberg, LLC to serve as special counsel on behalf of the city of Jersey City in commercial litigation matters. C22 is a resolution ratifying the renewal and amending a professional service agreement with Dominic Carmagnola, Esquire of the law firm of Carmagnola and Retardi, to represent former Chief of Police Robert Troy and other municipal employees in the matter of John Astriab, Valerie Montone v. the City of Jersey City et al. And finally, Z23, sorry?
I thought I read something, or somebody suggested to me that this
was settled.
Settled, we lost, I was told.
No, it was a jury verdict. It came back.
Yeah.
We're in the post-appeal process.
We're in an appeal process.
Well, the plaintiffs have to file motions to certify verdicts and everything else, so we are currently going through that process and then evaluating the possibility. We do think there are viable grounds for appeal.
This is the case?
Yes, it is.
So the verdict went against us in this case?
Yes, it did.
So I think we need a closed session to hear what happened in this, I think, I don't know.
So, Ryan?
It's just me.
Z23.
Z23 being withdrawn.
Withdraw, right?
Yeah, we don't have to talk for, we don't have to
It's
talk about
missing-
that.
It's missing some required forms.
Okay.
Can we get a resolution for Wednesday to have a closed session regarding Z22? So it's going to go to, what's that? Z22, a resolution for a closed session at, I don't know, we'll set a date, let's figure out a date between now and then, but I mean, if we're going to appeal, I'd like to know what the,
5 o'clock before the next caucus.
okay, 5 o'clock before the next caucus, that's fine.
25th, sorry.
Councilman Robinson?
In the life of Earl Morgan, I didn't see it. I thought we probably would have one here.
Let's get that
I
resolution.
spoke to Terrence McDonald about that. I asked if the town might want one, and he said he would speak to the town and get back to me, but I didn't hear back, so I don't know. I offered to do one for him, so.
I think we should do it.
There's
do that.
To the agenda and for tomorrow, I know the service is tomorrow, correct?
Service is tomorrow.
Okay, so I'll get
Tomorrow
that.
at 6 p.m.
Six p.m. Oh,
Yeah.
Margaret will have it ready.
Committee member?
6 p.m.?
6 p.m. is the viewing. 6 p.m. tomorrow. Motion.
Can we have a motion to, where is my phone? Can we have a motion to adjourn at 9:23? Who made the motion? And who made the second? Let's all say goodnight. We have all, except Mr. Solomon, who's absent. Good night, everyone.